Welcome, dear AI community from diverse domains and forward-thinking pioneers from every corner of our interconnected globe. I hope you all had an energizing summer. We're happy to be back and engage with all of you. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to Beyond Efficiency, AI's creative potential. We span time zones, industries, disciplines, and cultures, yet we are united by a singular curiosity: to uncover the expansive horizons of AI as it catapults from emerged tools of efficiency to a catalyst of boundless creativity. For many of us, the journey of AI began as a technology that increases efficiency and quality and takes on repetitive tasks. Today, we stand at a groundbreaking moment where it's not just about accelerating processes, but it is also about unlocking doors to a world where only our imaginations is the limit. AI has seamlessly transitioned from an operator to a co-pilot, steering us through life's complexities, inspiring fresh perspectives, and redefining the realms of possibility. Our conference today brings together 20 of the world's leading AI minds, leaders whose insights and explorations have already begun reshaping industries, from novel strategists ignited by generative AI to renewed operations and the transformative potential of the workforce. We are on the cusp of an era where AI doesn't just complement human effort, but elevates it. But amidst this development, it's pivotal to remember and recognize our human qualities. It is the human being that brings technology to its next level, and on the other side, it is technology that brings us, humankind, to its next level. Over the next 3 hours, our visionaries will share hands-on insights into the world of creativity, innovation, and transformative processes, all fueled by the smart combination of human and AI. Let's get the chat going, engage and converse, and connect on LinkedIn to exchange knowledge and experiences and strengthen the AI community over the whole globe. My dear AI enthusiasts, the dawn of a new AI era waits. Let's start our journey of exploration and discovering together. Share for success. Now I'm honored to welcome our first speaker, Igor, on our virtual stage, who will guide us through the nuance of generative AI. While this technology promises unprecedented breakthrough, especially natural language processing, it's not without its challenges. With Igor, we will look at both sides of the coin and also leave you with a positive outlook packed with solutions that foster sustainable advancements. Dear audience, as we embark on this exploration, let me approach AI with enthusiasm tempered by caution. Let the voyage of understanding commence. Igor, a warm welcome on our virtual stage. Thanks for your joining us today from the Netherlands. As we have hundreds of people out here, let me introduce you to all of them. Igor, you are a cybersecurity maven with over 15 years in IT and OT security, boasts dynamic blend of tech savvies and entrepreneurial talent. An alumnus of Singularity University, you are at the forefront of disruptive technology, not just a techie. You excel a sculpting startup and concealing top-tier boards on innovation and cyber resilience. With a knack for emerging tech insights with business strategies, you're an in-demand speaker and mentor. We are looking forward to diving into today's topic on generative AI with your unparalleled experience in the ever-changing tech realm. Igor, it's truly a privilege to have you with us. The virtual stage is yours.
All right, thanks for having me here. My name is Igor van Gemert. I am the lead cybersecurity and AI at ITsPeople in the Netherlands. And it's really a pleasure to be here and to connect to all those fellow AI-generated people. I'm now looking for my clicker. I'm really sorry. All right, it should work now. Let me check again. Screen is awake. Okay. Okay. This is my presentation. I see it very small, so it's good that I have my glasses on. So I'll give you a short overview about the landscape of generative AI. Then I show you also how it, let's say, evolves in the coming years. And last but not least, I will also show you how I created generative AI business cases in the Netherlands and in Europe. So let me check again. So I don't know if you know it, but actually, when you look at the landscape of generative AI, it changes all the time. So you have the feeling one day you understand what generative AI is all about, and the next day you realize you need to unlearn what you need to learn again. That's an issue for me. I love learning, don't get me wrong, but the pace of development is so fast that you almost need a full time job to understand how it actually works. So, as the CEO of Google mentioned, artificial intelligence is more relevant for humans than actually the invention of fire. And I totally can relate to that. Why? Because generative AI and AI will basically change the way how we work, live, entertain for the next decade. And I'm really, let's say, intrigued by the amount of speed in the generative AI landscape. And I will show you also how I look at it. So the generative AI ecosystem is really exploding. So every time there is new technology in the field of vision, of if in the field of audio, or in the field of data, and it's just a matter of let's say time that you realize all those AI systems are basically connecting. So you see that actually. All those AIs becomes multimodal. So image processing, audio processing, cybersecurity, but also code generation, video, data, and enterprise software. And basically, I think the future of generative AI is generative as a whole. So everything becomes literally generative. And I personally think that the trade of a programmer will be obsolete in the next 5 years or so. So top generative AI use cases are specifically in content generation, in access enterprise data, and basically optimizing the quality of data, but also understanding what's in the data. So what insights, hindsights, and foresights are available, data analysts, and also, of course, last but not least, code generation. If you see how fast the amount of, let's say, artificial intelligence generated data is produced on several repos, it's really mind boggling. Of course, there's a good side and a bad side because you will see there is content which will have basically more quality. You will have new technological features, like say you have improved anomaly detection, but you can also do something about proactive defense related to cyber. That's of course the good side. The bad side is that you can use generative AI to manipulate people and to undermine our information society by creating content which is more or less dangerous to produce. So every company is basically now looking at generative AI as a way to create value. It's not about you don't do generative AI. Everybody should have a generative AI roadmap where you basically spec out two things, or basically three things. First, you determine what is the business value in generative AI. Then you look at, let's say, how can you plot it into certain, let's say, initiatives. And last but not least, you prioritize what is the most relevant pilot in your organization. So it's very relevant that you start with the foundational responsible AI guide principles. So looking at privacy, looking at fairness and bias detection, but also looking at explainability, transparency, safety and security, validity and reliability, accountability, and last but not least, your own company principles. So it's a part of a transformation process. What you see right now that everybody is going in this curve of so-called the IA maturity model. So everybody is now exploring the new technologies. They're looking at ways how to incorporate that to, let's say, create a proliferation in your organization, optimize the code, and last but not least, use generative AI to build a transformation in your organization. So that's basically how I look at it from a theoretical point of view. I created also a platform which is called Cyber Resilience Pro, which is basically solving the issue of 2.4 million vacancies which are not available in, let's say, in the Netherlands. And with this generative AI, I'm able to mimic the role of the CISO, the ISO, the operational technology specialist. But that's not all. It's not only, let's say, cyber, let's say, as one of the use cases, but you're also looking at healthcare, you're looking at legal, and many, many roles to come. Um, Basically, I believe generative AI is here to stay and it will transform our information society. And with this technology and working together, we can really create new ways how humanity will interact with information technology and basically create a better world. So I'm really delighted that I was able to give this small talk to you. It's limited on 12 minutes. So yeah, I will keep my mouth shut now. So thank you very much, and over to the studio.
Thanks a lot. It was great and short and crisp. Let me see what kind of questions we do have. Dear audience, please share your questions in the chat. Let me just check the chat quickly. So one question is like, where do you see, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Where do you see?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, thanks. Where do you see the biggest chances, or actually which industries would you say for now, do you see the biggest chances with generative AI to have a very fast development?
A good development, so positive?
Yeah, I would say so positive.
Okay, clear. Just to make sure that I understand correctly.
Where
All right,
we can
so,
actually
I
discuss the
think,
other side then too.
Okay. So entertainment, legal, healthcare, education, and of course, engineering as a whole. Because with generative AI, you are a imagineer. So it's all about imagination. And by using generative AI, you don't have to be, let's say, a hardware engineer or a software engineer. You are able to blend several technologies together and build the application required for your idea.
Let's remain there. And this is something that myself, I'm thinking a lot about that. I mean, until now, we need a lot of engineers. But with generative AI, what is your opinion for people who are not in tech, but who understand the power of technology and see the business models, and now with generative AI can actually develop their own algorithms and solutions? Do we still need as many engineers in the future?
To be really honest, engineers are always required. Why? Because you need those hyper geeks who understand really what's going on. But the power of generative AI is, in my, let's say, humble opinion, the way to scale the technology. So you will see a lot of, let's say, no-code platforms which will interact and will create and foster new creative ways for people who don't have a typical engineering background.
Mm-hmm.
So let me elaborate this with a small example. Suppose a kid from India gets access to this generative AI and he looks at a way to produce electricity in an innovative form. He doesn't have to have a degree in, let's say, electronics first to build up this prototype. No, he can just talk like with your voice to a narrative, to an AI, which understands your voice and then generates several prototypes. And based on the simulations of the prototypes, ranks the likelihood of a successful product development. So the next ideas will not be from typical, let's say, engineering guys, so all techie. I think the mixture of people and let's say, yeah, let's say not the typical engineer, but let's say people with another creative fashion. Let's say an artist. An artist has now really has superpower to build something which is sustainable for the planet. That's
Exactly.
fantastic. That's the true revolution of generative AI.
But this is exactly what I meant before when I'm talking about, okay, now we have people like artists, like philosophists, like nutritionists. Doesn't matter which industries, they know their business best, they know their challenges best. And if they understand the power of the technology, in my opinion, they will be able to actually develop solutions based on generative AI tools that obviously are being developed further and further and further. And there we need the engineers. But in my opinion, I see a huge advantage for people who are not in technology now, who are not developers, who are not coding, to be able to provide solution to global challenges based on generative AI. But let me just there's like another question came from the audience. How do you see the coming EU AI Act in his shown responsible AI guiding principles? So what is your view on the EU AI Act? Yeah.
I think you need to have a kind of, let's say, compliancy framework for AI. That's no question about it. But you have to also be very careful and balanced, because if you over-regulate, the chance that you build, let's say, new technology and new economic relevant services in the EU region could be in danger. So over-regulation leads to nothing. So it's all about balance. So by providing the right argument and looking at the way how can we as a community, as the EU Union, work together to create a competitive edge and build generative AI use cases which scale. So engineered in the EU, scaled to the planet. So what you actually said, there are global grand challenges on, let's say, healthcare, on, let's say, longevity, let's say, on the environmental issues. So we need all the brain power we can get work in a way that works, but don't overregulate, because that will basically end the innovation era which we are in. And I think it's a fantastic time to be alive and use those generative technologies. Thanks again.
Great. Thanks. Actually, that was such a nice sentence. You finalized it. I would like to remain with that one in the ear of our audiences. So thank you, Igor, for your compelling keynote and also for the insights now with answering those questions. It was a great privilege to have you on stage. Keep in touch, and dear audience, get in touch with Igor via LinkedIn, and I'm sure you will be able to get much more information by following him. Thanks a lot, and see you soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. Now, to keep up to the Swiss timing, I'm just about to lead you to our next panel, and actually our first panel of this conference. This one will be packed with 5 incredible minds with well over 100 years of combined experience in AI and other cognitive technologies in diverse sectors around the world, for a deep dive into operations redefining by generative AI. And honestly, just by listening to myself, I think having over 100 years of experience as a human being, it was something. But now with AI, we can just bring it together, condensed in such a few minutes. So anyway, As we stand at the crossroad of innovation, this discussion aims to shed light on AI's profound impact on operations globally. I invite Monique, Jeff, Jared, Simon, and Georg to our virtual stage to uncover the nuance and collaborative potential of this transformative technology. A warm welcome to you all. Now, before I hand it over to you, let me introduce you to the panel, to our global audience, and start with Monique. As Monique, you are leading this great panel, I would like to introduce you first. Monique, my dear friend, with over 25 years at technology's forefront, your expertise spans cybersecurity, blockchain, and ethical tech design. From Cisco to Hedera Hashgraph's board, you shape the industry's trajectory. Founder of the Humanized Internet, a nonprofit championing digital identity. You awarded including Forbes' top 50 women in tech and Europe's top 100 women in cybersecurity. A multi-award winner, you are a true tech leader reshaping our digital future. It's a great honor to have you with us, Monique, chairing our panel. And now with you on the panel, we do have Jeff, another familiar face. As always, it is our great pleasure to have you with us here, Jeff. There were many changes in the last month. We are eager to hear your views and experiences. Jeff, you are a digital transformation man in the manufacturing realm, wielding industry's 4.0 tools at Hitachi Solutions. You are not just bridging tech and business gaps, but also igniting conversations about the future of the fourth industrial revolution. Besides strategizing, you mentor innovative and passionately share stories on LinkedIn. In a nutshell, Jeff, you are a tech-savvy storyteller and Industry 4.0 enthusiast. Jeff, welcome back to our stages. It's great to have you here again.
Thanks, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Now, to you, Jared. Great to see you again, too. You're the AI maestro at ADM, an $85 billion global nutrition juggernaut. You're not just about crunching numbers, you're revolutionizing how they're perceiving the global supply chain, the dance between human microbiomes and food, and transportation's vast expanse. It's your innovative spirit that's helping transform our dietary landscape from farms to forks, roads to oceans. In essence, you're bridging tech and nutrition, forging a future where people eat smarter, live healthier, and navigate a rapidly changing world with ease. Jared, a warm welcome, and thanks for being back.
Great, thank you very much.
With you on the panel now, we have Simon, another very dear friend of ours. I'm thrilled to see you here, my dear friend, coming in from Singapore. Simon, you have one foot in the industry and another in academia. Not only have you been helping NVIDIA to shape its technology agenda, but you have also been working with the university to develop and train new talents. You also have more than 200 peer-reviewed publications and books under your name. You have been with NVIDIA for almost 5 years, and you are their global head of AI Technology Center and AI Nation. Simon, for us, you are one of the leading people in AI, and we're so happy to have you with us today on the panel. Together with you, we have George.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. George, also a warm welcome to you. You are an AI founder building the future of price optimization, raised $9 million in funding and worked with Fortune 500 customers worldwide, top 100 thought leader in AI by Thinkers 360, having designed and launched AI application and created predictive models that proved accurate over the years. Part of your work has been published in renowned international journals and book publishers like Elsevier and Foresight. Your latest endeavor in your over 25 years careers in FutureUp, combining this extensive experience in pricing and AI technologies to help enterprises optimize pricing and achieve their sales and profitability goals. What an incredible panel, where I just realized that actually 3 of them are Swiss Cognitive Global AI ambassadors. What an exciting 30 minutes. I would like to hand over to you, Monique. The virtual stage is yours.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much, Dalit, my dear friend. What a wonderful, wonderful panel, and what I'm just so thrilled at what Swiss Cognitive does. And listen, we have a great conversation here that we're going to kind of stage. One of the first questions I'm going to ask our panelists is, it's a warm-up question, really. It's really about how should business leaders be thinking about generative AI? And I'm going to start with you, Jeff, and move to Jared, George, and Simon. So, Jeff, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, if you look at AI in general, you need to understand kind of what it's trying to do and what it's trying to solve. And artificial intelligence conceptually is a way of replicating human intelligence, which means it can be used to help augment or automate decisions. And those are the 2 big areas that you need to think about this. And if you think about it that way, it'll help you apply it to the right areas. Where are places that we can have a technology to make better decisions for us? And then where can we apply it to help us make better decisions ourselves? So I think if you categorize it that way, you'll start to see the big implication of where this can be applied, which is to nearly every industry, nearly every function, from a frontline worker all the way up to the CEO. And that's what makes this technology so ubiquitous in its application and applicable everywhere.
So it doesn't have to be dystopian, as we all, what's out there in the industry as a fear thing. But and I love this. I love the thought of this conversation. Let's keep it going with Jared. How do you feel about this from a business perspective?
I think what Jeff, how he clearly stated it, is exactly how leaders should be looking at it. Another aspect of it is the human aspect of it, is that everything that we can do with AI is fundamentally about speed. So expect all your processes, how you're communicating, the empowerment of the workforce. The speed is going to increase dramatically. Things will be done much faster, much more accurately, much clearer. There's going to be a lot of disruption in this space. Expect your business models to be disrupted. So look at it as an opportunity to continuously improve how you plan on doing things, and see if there's new ways of using these kinds of technologies to grow your business. And really, I mean, the sky's the limit.
So acceptance is going to be very key. It's not going to go away. So it's really key for the business aspect here. But continuing the discussion, George, how about you? What are your thoughts on, how business leaders should be thinking about this, about generative AI specifically?
I've talked to many business leaders about this, and some of them are hesitant. Actually, some embrace it, but some are hesitant. And when I see that, I always say, okay, think about your competitors and what they can do with AI, generative AI, or any other form of AI, and then you will invest in it because you will understand the danger of not doing nothing. And I mean, it's a big revolution. It's all around us. AI is here to stay 100%. And it's going to change our lives, and it's going to change every company's the way of operations, of doing things, regardless if this company is within the AI market or the technology market or somewhere else. So I will say to all people, don't be afraid or feel intimidated by new technology. Learn more about it, understand the potential risks, obviously, but also the great benefits, and try to embrace it and leverage all the great things that are happening all around us. And it's great because this great AI revolution really is happening right now, because now it's the first time that AI hit the mainstream market. Everybody's talking about it, and not just some people from the academia or some people like us who are the technology enthusiasts. That's the early market. Now we are talking about the mainstream market, which is practically the whole planet, everyone.
So detecting a lot of interesting themes here about operational efficiency and acceptance and impact to the business is positive. How about you, Simon, from your perspective? Because you balance between academia but also business. So what are your perspectives here?
Yes. So, like what Jared, Jeff has spoken about, um, AI is going to touch on everything, automated automations, faster decision makings, speeds, and so forth. And one of the very important thing, in fact, we should be thinking about the AI, thinking about what if we do not adopt AI. AI
Mhm.
is going to be extremely disruptive to many aspects of our work. And we must think, and the business guys must think of that if we do not adopt it, what will happen to our business, and what will the competitors be doing, and what will it do to cannibalize our business? So this is something that the business guy should be thinking about very, very carefully.
Awesome, Simon, because I see that as an opportunity cost. You know, you avoid it, there could be that negative impact to your business, and so that's a great provocative thought. Jeff, I would like to kind of continue this conversation as we start to double click down the advantages here and benefits to the business overall. What makes generative AI so unique and compared to other types of AI, even other technologies? Now, remember, we're talking about generative AI because people can get confused. Oh, AI, you know, you're talking deep machine learning. What about generative AI? What makes it so special?
Well, when you think about it, ChatGPT was launched on November 30th of 2022, so about 9-ish months ago. It took 5 days to reach 1 million users and 100 million users in around 2 months. And now they're hitting almost 2 billion page views per month. And about 4 months after ChatGPT was released, the GPT-4 model was released with more parameters, higher performance, higher accuracy, and the world had to figure out how to respond. I mean, if you look at just students alone, they started using it for homework. Schools scrambled to figure out how to respond to that. Italy even banned ChatGPT for a short amount of time. And remember, 9 months ago, most of the world had never heard of any of the GPT models, generative AI or OpenAI. And there's two big reasons why I would say this particular technology is different. First is the speed of adoption. ChatGPT is one of the easiest technology tools that you've ever really used. You don't need to be trained on how to use it. It's unbelievably simple. A single prompt for you to type in any question you want. Can you think of any other technology that so many people, so many different backgrounds and educational levels can adopt so quickly? I would say there are other technologies out there, such as blockchain and other forms of AI, that are arguably just as disruptive, but they require a substantially higher set of resources, time, knowledge, and money to utilize as a company. And assuming you have good data, you can start using ChatGPT models in hours. The second one that makes this technology, specifically generative AI, so disruptive is Microsoft's investment in OpenAI. In January, Microsoft announced a plan to invest $10 billion into OpenAI just a few months after ChatGPT release. And that's a serious level of investment that if you look at ChatGPT, they're already starting to integrate the concept of generative AI in most of their products that they have. And since Microsoft is such a big company and most people use a lot of their general everyday tools from Teams to Word to PowerPoint, whether you like it or not, as a professional, you're going to start to see this integrated into nearly everything you do on a daily basis. The question is, are you going to be taking advantage of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Are we taking advantage overall? Because you have ChatGPT hitting the consumers, as you just well pointed out, as well as the business, and it's a tool. I mean, we have to accept it. And I think, Jared, moving to you is as we continue this really interesting and it's provocative discussion to some extent. How is generative AI transforming traditional business workflows, particularly in sectors like manufacturing, design, and content creation? And can you provide some notable examples of case studies, you know, making it concrete for our audience of our operations that that have seen the significant change? You know, so that people, the audience, from the business perspective, can understand the impact.
Let's start with why it took off. in November, and it was really because, I like to use the term, it was a delightful experience. And it was really the first time where most people got to interact with an actual artificial intelligence, computational source. I'm talking about like Siri or what you see on Netflix or what you have on your phone, because AI has been around for a while, but an actual interaction where you as an individual got to see something being generated, a result specific to your prompting, to how you were asking the question. And this is just a very early stage of this kind of technology where you're going to have a dialogue with an artificial entity. Now, from an operational perspective, what we've seen very quickly is how we can use this in operations. One specific use case is how very complex systems of manufacturing, for example, there's a lot of training that needs to occur there. There may be many manuals or documents that have to be digested by an individual before they're proficient at their job. But we know with the modern workforce, things are moving very quickly. So now we've got a tool through a dialogue interface, as an example, that consume vast amounts of information and provide information back specifically to an individual, let's say within a manufacturing facility, if they ask a prompt or a question, not like an FAQ list or some other tool, but rather a generative tool that can provide results of information to that individual, how they can operate the machines, as an example. Another thing that they've seen very rapidly is that in terms of customer interactions, groups like when you have to call in, you call like a help desk or something. They're finding out these tools are very applicable in that regard because they're providing much more accurate, much more refined information specific to that individual. We can bring in all sorts of different languages that can be translated on the fly. And businesses are seeing this like, wow, this is really effective here. Now, something that I think is interesting, it's just in the 9 months, is what Jeff pointed out, is how transformative people are seeing these kinds of tools can be applied, and how disruptive they are to many of these processes. Mustafa Salman, I believe he's one of the founders of DeepMind, is publishing a book, and he just said in the next 18 months, expect 1,000-fold increase in the capabilities of these kinds of language tools and these models. The power at which we're accelerating here in terms of how these things are going to be disruptive I don't even think people can really comprehend what's going to happen. And
we're really,
the last 9 months.
We're really at the tip of the iceberg here, right? So, and you point out, you used the term transformative, which leads me to you, George. Basically, the question I have is, how do you experience digital transformation being impacted by AI, and particularly generative AI, and what are the current AI applications that you see? We've talked about, the impact of business and business efficiencies and over time, how quickly it's moving. From your perspective, what are your thoughts here on the digital transformation angle?
Well, digital transformation is already happening. Obviously, it's a work in progress for many companies. But I think AI, as in many other fields, is going to act as a catalyst. It's going to accelerate things and the pace of digital transformation. It's going to do that for a couple of reasons. There will be a category of companies that are going to just be reactive, let's say, and they will be dragged into investing money and effort and everything into AI, and therefore into their digital transformation journey to respond to competitors' actions, to competitors' investments. That's nice, but that's a Me Too strategy. It's not the best thing to do. Usually you need to be proactive, and that brings us to the next category of companies. And I think these companies are going to drive the AI revolution. Companies that are willingly going to or are already investing into AI, and therefore the digital transformation journey as well. And they do that because they have identified something great related to AI and certain initiatives. It could be something that accelerates revenue or increase profitability or productivity or anything. There are many, many different areas that you can improve with AI. And let us not forget that AI is not a single thing. There are many, many different applications. And that's the important thing. One of the many challenges that companies are going to have when they invest into AI plus digital transformation, they accelerate the digital transformation, is to pick up the right strategy in the right area of AI to invest in. because again, it's a big topic. It's a big market. It's not just one thing. Many different things. So everybody would say, okay, it's an obvious what we should do. We should invest in generative AI. Yeah, that's great. But right now, if you see all the reports out there that have all the figures behind the investments in different areas, generative AI has all the hype. Yes, definitely. Everybody's talking about that. It's the talk of the town. But right now, it has less than 5% of the overall AI investment. Obviously, this is going to change in the future. But right now, there are other areas that have more funds, more investments. Practically speaking, applied AI, predictive AI is in the top of the investment right now, with most of the projects, or the biggest projects, being channeled there. Again, I think this is going to change in the future, because now a new market, the generative AI market, is being, let's say, is emerging, and things are going to change in the future. But right now, this market is the biggest within the AI market. And I think that should be also a great candidate to invest money in. And let us not forget that predictive AI, for instance, is something that goes directly not just to the bottom line, but also top line, profitability, pricing, all these things. So it's a great area to invest against some competitive advantage. And of course, depending on the specialization of your company, of course, there are other more specialized, let's say, area, or not so specialized AI areas, like process automation, for instance. That's an obvious thing. But it could be something more specialized, like computer vision or NLP or something else, depending again on the nature of your company. There are so
So
many things to pick up.
we see a lot of investment opportunities here, and of course, predictive AI is a great example. And I think, to you, Jeff, can you give a maybe a simple example and and something that's more complex example, if you will, of how companies can adopt generative AI? I mean, we've been not only looking at investments, but what are simple versus complex here for adoption?
Sure. And since generative AI technology is fairly new, there aren't as many full production case studies as we would like, but there's a lot of companies with successful pilots that are transitioning into full scale. Now, from a simple way to look at it is really any company that has a lot of PDFs. It could be anything like HR policies, contracts, engineering documents, or my personal favorite is equipment user manuals. PDFs are easy to load into a cognitive form recognizer that makes the data available so that users can access that information very quickly. Imagine the time savings of an operator, kind of similar to what Jared talked about, of typing into a prompt, hey, what does the blinking red light on my machine mean? At a basic level, it can tell you that answer quickly. At a more advanced level, you can integrate it into your CMMS or your maintenance system and simultaneously pull from your maintenance logs to combine them with the user manual. So not only will it tell you what the blinking red light means and how to fix it, but can tell you what others did the last time. Now, that being said, CarMax is one of the earlier adopters before ChatGPT came out, and they have a great case study. So CarMax, the used car retailer, harnessed the power of generative AI to completely change its customer experience and content generation process. They use generative AI to streamline the process for all their car research pages, which boosted their search engine optimization and their customer experience. They initially summarized customer reviews for 5,000 car pages that initially they were going to anticipate would take 11 years, and they achieved this with 80% editorial approval rate in just a couple months. And their Q4 2022 revenues saw a nearly 50% rise to almost $8 billion year over year. And they didn't need to hire an army of content writers because they were able to complete the tasks in a fraction of their time. So that's a pretty complex way of doing it. And it's a pretty powerful example that you can look up. It's all publicly available.
Oh, I love that simple to complex, and I can relate to the PDFs and manuals. So those are really great examples. But for Simon, we have to, we are talking about also the applications, but we also have to look at the basics, right? What types of infrastructure, from a company perspective, what types of infrastructure is required for generative AI business?
So this is a very important question. So we must take a look from, first of all, we must define the problems. there is a training in generative in AI. There is a training phase and there is an inference phase. The training phase usually take up most of the computations, and there is a lot of data that is needed for it. So in the inference phase, usually you need heavy computational machine, things like the GPUs. Um,
Mhm.
for large language models, like the foundation models used by GPT, usually they are consist of hundreds, if not thousands, of GPUs. Not only the GPU itself, because the huge amount of data, you need to have a interconnects that connects to the GPU in such a way that they can fit the accelerator or the GPU in a very fast way. So that is a training phase. But again, like I say again, depend upon the size of the types and the type of generative AIs that you want to build. The second things is that the inference. Now the inference will be pretty much different because the inference, what you want from the inference usually is about latency. How fast you want to get the result. When you ask ChatGPT, you want to get the result very, very quick. And that is mostly about latency, right? And usually you do not need a lot of data. There's no training, though you do not need a lot of data. And what you need is that it's able to retrieve the information very quickly. So there will be much smaller GPUs, but what you need to do is to have an infrastructure that's able to provide the information very, very quickly, right? So there is depends upon the type of problems and the skills of the problems. People like ChatGPT require, because one of the things is that they do require to support millions of users at
Mhm.
one go. Uh, it may be millions of users accessing at the same time, and there are also generative AI where you use it on the desktops, right? And those are the application where you only have one user, yourself, or a couple of users. So it depends upon the user, and that the inference engine could be just a simple CPU all the way up to a very powerful GPUs. That depends upon the skills that you want to get and the type of applications.
So Simon, thank you so much for breaking that down in terms of infrastructure, because that you're spot on in terms of the problem and that we're trying to solve, or the problem that the business is trying to solve, which is really really key here. But Jeff, continue on Simon's thoughts. Where should companies start, especially when we're talking about infrastructure? Going back on the premise here, it depends, right? If you have multiple users, you're talking about learning and inference. You're talking about also latency. What would you be your point of view in terms of where businesses should start? Because not everybody's going to have that kind of level of infrastructure, right? So what is your perspective?
So I'm actually going to talk about it at a broader level because regardless of
Okay.
your industry or your digital maturity, every company needs to come up with a policy and strategy for AI and specifically generative AI within that. When I say a policy, I mean any established rules, guidelines, and standards that govern behavior within a company, facilitating consistency on how it's used. And when I say strategy, I mean an approach to achieve long-term goals and competitive advantage, providing direction and defining key actions for success. So there's policies and strategies in three areas I recommend people and companies form. And one is on the public use of ChatGPT. That one is so powerful that you need to have a dedicated policy and strategy around it. Do you have rules around your employees using it and what information they're allowed and not allowed to load into it? Because I guarantee most employees are using it and they probably don't know that the moment they load something into ChatGPT, it becomes part of the corpus and accessible to everyone. Plus, you need to know when your employees can rely on the information. For example, summarizing an article is low risk. Creating a calculation can be high risk. The
Mhm.
second is generative AI is being included into most companies' products out there. As I just mentioned earlier, Microsoft publicly announced they're going to be including it into everything. Does your company have a policy and strategy around when that's used and how it's used in all functions of the company? That's a pretty powerful thing to not have a grasp on. And the third is when you start to leverage AI internally at your company, whether you're leveraging it to help your employees be more productive or whether you're helping it change the way that you provide value to your customers. You need to have a policy and strategy around both.
So policy and strategy, very, very key. I'm hearing that as a common theme, which is important, especially around ChatGPT and how it's used. In fact, I've heard that some organizations will actually bar you if you've written a speech in ChatGPT, which is kind of interesting. But aside from that, I'm going to go to you, Jared. Where do you think companies should start here?
Well, it's interesting. You can hear all the different aspects that have to be looked at here, especially just from an AI perspective, the tooling, the hardware, the software. But also, companies need to look at what's happening with, it's not just an isolated, piece of work here. Everything is being disrupted. So all your downstream systems, if you do something much faster, more optimized, and you're getting better results, well, how does that change your downstream systems? Do you need new kinds of tools? Do you need a new kind of process? Do you even need those kinds of people to do the kind of work that they're currently doing? Or does a whole system need to be reevaluated? This is where business models are being transformed by this technology. So, the folks who are really looking at what's happening in the future with this stuff, they need to look. They need to remind themselves to look at a much broader context of what's happening here. This is disruptive. This is transformative, not just in an isolated, oh, this is a really cool, nice AI widget, but rather your whole business model could change. Somebody might come up with something much more powerful, much more efficient that just disrupts everything that you're doing. So it's something, the folks that have an understanding of this need to look at the entire system. You can't think of things just an isolated event or as isolated kind of technology that might improve certain aspects of your business. You got to look at everything in the business.
Totally agree, and I totally agree. I think it's going back, as I said before, to strategy overall. It's multimodal indeed. And George, from your perspective, we're hearing that it's used everywhere. The technologies, it's the cat is out of the box, right? From an operations sort of a perspective, do you see any issues with it? Does it work in practice from your experience?
Okay, that's the $1 trillion question. If it were, because let's face it, it's a magnificent technology, both generative AI and all the other forms of AI. If it does work, it can do wonders for us and our way of living. But if it doesn't, it can be extremely dangerous. I would say that so far we have great first supporting evidence that it's working great in many, many, many different cases, although there is no universal answer for all use cases and for all tools, again, because of the diversity of the AI space. But generally speaking, we do have good feedback, good evidence. Think of the obvious example that we've been talking about it for so many months, ChatGPT and all the other tools that launched and initiated the generative AI era before a year or so. That's very recent. If you compare all these tools to the previous generation of chatbots used in banks, for instance, you can immediately spot the difference. You can tell that we're talking about highly sophisticated tools that give intelligent responses. You can have an intelligent discussion. You cannot have that with a chatbot in the bank or whatever. You are getting furious and you want to get rid of these tools. Even passing the Turing test, which used to be a major issue, a big thing, is not a big thing anymore because the bar is higher and we're expecting even more from this tool. So something definitely has changed, and that's evidence that these tools are working. This is why there is so high, they are highly accepted by almost everyone around the world. If you see other areas, again in generative AI, like image video processing, you can see all the things there with Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, all these things. But on the negative side, you do have some negative publicity raising concerns with fake news, fake videos, false responses from ChatGPT, and so on and so forth. Overall, I would say what we need human and computer or AI interaction. We need people who understand the domain under which the AI operates in order to cross-check everything and get the most out of the system.
So we have
type of
We have
collaboration?
about 20 seconds left, and I'm going to have to summarize because
Okay.
but this is really important, the discussion. Fundamentally, we didn't get to the ethics component of it, but I would say that the human in the loop is going to be very important, and I think also ethics must be part of the strategy. And that's an area that I am working on within the IEEE. Without further ado, thank you so very much, my panelists. Thank you very much, Olivia, for helping set this up. And back to you, our host, Dalit.
A huge thanks also from our side. Such a dynamic panel, Monique and the brilliant panelists diving into operations, redefining by generative AI with all of you was extremely revealing. Monique, Jeff, Jared, Simon, and George, I hope to see you online soon, and if possible, even in person. So take care, and good evening, good night, good day, wherever you are.
Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Now, dear audience, keep that chat buzzing. Engage with our esteemed speakers and connect with AI enthusiasts worldwide. Together, we're not just spectators. We're influencers shaping AI's evolution for businesses and society. So let's unite our voices, share insights, and jointly drive the future of AI. Your contribution today will echo in tomorrow's innovations. Let's collaborate and inspire. We are approaching the next session of this conference, Shaping the Future, AI Innovation, Impact, and Wealth Creation with Robert. Robert, a warm welcome to our virtual stage that is reaching over 100 countries worldwide. It is great to have you with us here today and focusing on the incredible potentials that AI offers across industries. Let me introduce you, Robert, to our dear audience. You are the CEO of Alpha 10X, an AI startup purposed for the emerging class of impact unicorns, startups that are valued at over $1 billion and improve the life of at least 1 billion people. A former Silicon Valley VC, investment banker, public company CEO, director of the Microsoft M&A team, and serial entrepreneur, you're inspired by big ideas, dreams, and dreamers, the ones who see things differently, who are crazy enough to think they can change the world and do something in real. So this is definitely the stage where we want to hear about you, Robert, shaping the future, AI innovation, impact, and wealth creation. The virtual stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me and for this opportunity to share some thoughts that would hopefully be useful to the participants, spark some imagination, perhaps a little bit of crazy would be useful too. I think we certainly live in a time of exponential innovation, and the large language model evolution and GPT over the last 6 months has proven that this is unprecedented in the history of any form of innovation, that we see so much movement so quickly. So a really extraordinary moment in time, a time of great opportunity and a time of great risk. If you look at the traditional hype cycle that Gartner has formulated and proven over many decades now, we're entering an extraordinary wave of hype where you will see a significant amount of money going into AI. And many of these startups, many of the companies that attract capital over the next 3-4 years will probably not survive for very long. The reality is that 90% of Silicon Valley-based VC-backed startups fail in 3 years. The failure rate is extremely high. And what my company is focused on, what I'm passionate about, is about finding the intersection between innovation, investment, and impact. I think most of us would agree that we live in a world that is fraught with difficulty. I'm particularly interested in climate change, in sustainability, in the evolution of the entire global infrastructure towards clean and sustainable technologies. I think this represents an opportunity that is perhaps the greatest commercial opportunity in the history of the planet. If you look at the kind of money that is going into that evolution towards sustainability, it's almost beyond imagination. $194 trillion will be needed by 2050 to achieve net zero. The numbers go on and on and on. Many of the large Silicon Valley players are now delivering a message around tech for good, clean tech, the evolution towards impact. If you look at many of the large investment banks, bankers, large funds, the focus has moved very much towards impact, ESG, sustainability. So I see a tremendous opportunity for investors in this intersection between impact, sustainability, and AI. I've been involved in AI since the late 90s, originally through healthcare and expert systems. It's a domain I understand really well. I'm shocked by the impact of GPT over the last several months, the emergence and the mainstreaming of AI in this short period of time has proven a great boon to us, to my company, to what I do, and hopefully a boon to the world in many different ways. But I believe it's not just about making money. It's not just about greater productivity and improving business productivity in general. It has to be about more than that. There's definitely an intersection between making money and impact. So it's not about philanthropy per se. It's about finding this intersection between the power of AI and how AI can predict the future, see the future, understand the future, measure, quantify the value of various different technologies and companies and the teams that build them, in order to allow investors to invest in technologies that really will change the world in a very significant way. We have this aspiration of positively impacting a population of over 1 billion people. It is possible in the world of AI to do that, as has been proven very quickly by OpenAI in a very short period of time. The particular passion that I have around impact and sustainability intersects with that capability, with that exponentiality that we see now around AI. So we see a massive movement of capital towards AI. We see a massive movement of capital towards ESG, sustainability, impact, and the evolution of the global economy towards clean tech. And in that intersection, the opportunity is absolutely extraordinary. We have the data. There is an enormous amount of data available in the world of innovation and investment. Large companies tend not to be very efficient at innovating. They look increasingly towards smaller companies, startups, to accelerate their innovation, to acquire talent in order to push themselves forward more efficiently. And we're very much about that intersection between innovation, investment, startups, and how if you are able to identify the most valuable startups early enough in the cycle, prior to getting to the innovation trigger that Gartner describes, where you really have product market fit, the opportunity in terms of alpha, in terms of generating returns, ROI, is beyond imagination. So in this world of thousands of startups generating extraordinary technologies that can not only deal with COVID, that can not only deal with climate change, can deal with cancer, can eliminate so much suffering in the world, there is great opportunity. And if we converge the ability of these technologies to accelerate innovation, we can also alleviate many of the major challenges that the world faces today. So I see an opportunity in the application of AI, not just towards business productivity, but towards impact, towards saving the world. I think we live in a time of existential challenge. If you look at what has been happening in climate just over the last couple of years, just this last summer, Burning Man, you name it, the rapid movement towards the negative impact of climate change is almost beyond imagination. So many of us have children. I have 3. I would certainly like them to live a good life. I would like them to have good air to breathe 25 years from now. If we don't affect that pivot, we face an existential challenge that is almost beyond imagination. And I think the world is gradually opening up to that reality. So analyzing sufficient data, if you have access to sufficient data, it is possible to analyze these data, extract knowledge, insights, and highly accurate predictions for the future in order to drive capital towards the technologies that will generate most impact in the world. This is not to say that there's nothing bad about productivity and improving productivity in large organizations or small organizations. That's clearly a part of our global economy and very important. But my message here and my passion is around how the power of AI, not just generative AI, but these deeper technologies, the extreme technologies, extreme deep tech, can be applied to climate change impact and ultimately the development of a more sustainable world, a more hopefully peaceful world, and a more sane world in the future. So this is the core message I bring. It is around impact, sustainability, and the convergence, essentially the idea of capitalism 2.0, where there is a direct convergence between the immersive nature of technology, the way we experience it today, the prevalence of technology, and the correct application or the positive application of these technologies towards dealing with our deepest and our most prolific challenges in the world, from climate change to all manner of diseases, and how we can be, we can reach a point where we can cure and deal with these issues. That's the fundamental message that I have to bring. I hope it is resonant with some of you in the audience, and I hope to see you on the revolution, because it really is a revolution that goes way beyond simply business as usual. It goes towards saving the planet.
Definitely. Big kudos to you, Robert, for your retrieving keynote on shaping the future AI innovation impact and wealth creation. I think your insights illuminated the path ahead, sparking inspiration and deep reflection. I would really like to check if we have already 2 questions from the audience I would like to share with you, so please remain with us. The first question is, the AI ecosystem often relies on collaboration between academia, industry, and startups. Can you share examples of successful interdisciplinary partnerships or initiatives that have accelerated AI and ML innovation?
That's an excellent question. It's not an easy question to answer. There is a clear path that starts with scientific research, that moves into scientific papers, that moves into conferences, that moves into patents. It's typically a 10-year cycle from that really early scientific research, fundamental research, all the way through to hitting the innovation trigger, where we see a clustering of innovation, a clustering of investment going towards that innovation. And at that point, we typically see an explosion of companies, as we're seeing right now around large language models. I can't say I can think. I am working with a number of top universities myself. My board includes a number of top academics. We're working very closely with academia. I can't say I can, off the top of my head, think of the precise evolution of academia towards an applicable technology. But for example, if you look at Siri, that may be one useful example. Siri evolved out of Stanford research in Silicon Valley, originally named Open Agent Architecture. It is the foundation of Siri. And so there you see deep fundamental research that was focused on natural language process that evolved into a life transforming technology that we all, or those of us with iPhones, enjoy today.
Great, thank you. We'll go ahead because questions coming in more and more. How do you see the role of explainable AI evolving in critical sectors like healthcare and finance, where trust and transparency are paramount? Are there any recent development or best practice you'd like to share? This is also not an easy question.
No, this is a great question. This one is easier than the previous question. So we're particularly focused on the knowledge graph. And if you think about a knowledge graph, for those of you who don't know what it is essentially a visual database where we understand relations between different entities. An entity may be a person, a company, a patent, a scientific paper. We understand adjacencies between these entities and the edges that connect them. And through this understanding, we get a contextual understanding of any given topic. This is very much the way the brain operates. This is the way we think. We think contextually. we're having a conversation right now. I'm not thinking about what I had for dinner last night or what I'm going to be doing in an hour.
Hopefully
I'm focused on
not.
this conversation I'm focused on this conversation right now. So the difference between ultimately what we see in large language models and our concentration on the knowledge graph is that with the graph, you get a ground truth, a fundamental truth. And from that, you can extract knowledge, insights, and predictions that are highly accurate. We're accurate up to 86%. Sorry, I'm getting a call at the same time. We're accurate at predicting the future up to 86%. We don't publish that number very broadly because we're still working on research to support it. But with the ground truth inherent in the large language, in the knowledge graph, you're able to produce highly relevant predictions in the domain of healthcare, finance, whatever it might be. It is possible to do that. The large language model creates a great deal of incoherence, and it's much more difficult to come up with something. I wouldn't want to bet, too much of my financial wealth on a large language model. But if the graph is there combined with the large language model, you have the perfect synergy because the foundation is pure, and therefore the extrapolation is pure.
Okay, thanks. Now, we have another minute, so let me share another question out of the audience. When will AI developers run out of high-quality data to train their models, and does this plateau AI performance?
I'm sorry, you faded on the sound of the first part of the question.
When will AI developers run out of high-quality data to train their models?
When will it evolve out of high quality data? Well, I think we're seeing more and more of a proliferation of data. Data is not knowledge. The more data we have, however, the closer we get to more precise and accurate knowledge that can be extrapolated from the data. Doesn't entirely answer the question, but I think it is about our ability to, again, it goes back to the logic of the knowledge graph. Once the graph is able to understand precisely the intersections and the adjacencies between the data points in order to generate knowledge, then you evolve in that direction. You evolve towards the point that the question addresses.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I think this conversation could go on for ages. It was great listening to you. And for now, I need to say goodbye, unfortunately, but I hope that we will stay in touch and we will see you soon and perhaps also in person. Thanks a lot for being with us, Robert.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Well, now we're getting on to our next panel. Now we have expert panel discussion about innovative strategies fueled by generative AI as we delve deep into AI's creative powers. We're thrilled to have an expert panel ready to illuminate these transformative frontiers. I welcome 5 great minds on stage from 3 continents. Each brings a unique perspective, harnessing the power of generative AI in their respective fields. As we bridge geographical boundaries in this discussion, let's tap into collective wisdom of these thought leaders. Together, we'll explore the innovation strategic that reshaping industries and paving the way for the future. Yoav, Valerie, Camilla, Harvey, Arek, a warm welcome to all of you on our virtual stage. Great that. Before I hand over to you, as a moderator, let me introduce you and your panelists to our global audience. Yoav, with a mantra of bridging R&D to life, you operate at the nexus of AI research, industries, and regulation. You are an international AI consultant and a senior fellow at the Tel Aviv University's Yuval Ne'eman Workshop for Science, Technology, and Security. Since 2018, you have been Israel's head of delegation to the AI International Standardization, championing the trustworthiness of AI and addressing the ethical dimension of AI's rise. Your perceived roles include teaching fellow in data science and business strategies at the Tel Aviv University and leading The research centers business engaging innovation, fostering a vibrant nexus between industry and academia in AI. Shalom and welcome, Yoav. Now to you, Valerie,
Shalom,
dialing
welcome.
in from Tanzania. As an AI expert, you serve as Microsoft technology strategist. Your forte lies in AI-driven decision-making and Industry 4.0 solutions, including cloud, IoT, AI, and big data. With a decade at PwC's Global Digital Transformation Delivery Leader, you have crafted strategic IT solutions enhancing workforces efficiencies, decision-making, and sustainability for multinational corporations. Holding a PhD from the University of Auckland, you're a prolific academic contributor in information systems and computer science domains. You actively engage in social and community initiatives, including disability programs, STEAM women empowerment, and blood donation drives. Your vision is empowering organizations worldwide with innovation, automation, and emerging technologies benefiting humanity at large. Great to have you here with us today, Valeria.
Thank you.
Now, Camilla, to you, short and crisp. Camilla, you have over 10 years of experience in decision-making and strategy for large organizations worldwide, maximizing diverse disciplines such as design, creativity, user experience, data science, and AI. Your unique approach of intervening creativity with technology is what makes you a pioneer in the field of AI. Camilla, I'm glad you could join us here today. Together with you, we have Harvey. Great to see you here. Harvey, raised by a single-teen mom in New York, your early determination led you to become a physician, entrepreneur, and former CEO of healthcare system. With 2 decades of experience, you now revolutionize healthcare through AI, serving as a strategic advisor for ChatGPT and healthcare. You orchestrate AI adoption in healthcare, aligning technology with clinical needs, and foster awareness about AI's transformative pivotal as an author and speaker. Your life journey is a testament to thinking outside the box and relentless pursuit of innovation in healthcare. Looking very much forward to hear your insights on the panel, Harvey. Now, last but absolutely not least, please welcome with me Arik. As an AI consultant, you guide global giants such as Shell Energy, L'Oreal in AI integration, data monetization, and proceed enhancement. You strategize AI adoption, offering insights into data-driven decisions, automation, and efficiency of brands like IKEA, Procter & Gamble, Bayer, Modoma, and Arcad. You educate through workshops, courses, and training, simplifying AI for learners of diverse levels and empowering them for an AI-empowered world. You hold an AI diploma from Northwestern University and a master's degree from the University of Economic in Poland. Finally, and importantly, you truly believe in AI's power for innovation and efficiency, not job replacement. Valeria, Camilla, Harvey, Arik, the virtual stage is all yours. Please share your thoughts with our audience on the topic innovative strategy fueled by generative AI. You have enjoy leading the next 30 minutes.
Thank you, Dalit, for this kind intro. Super excited to lead this panel with amazing panelists for innovative strategies fueled by generative AI. So having an innovative strategy obviously means operationalizing general AI in an organization, right? When you take Gen AI and you want to take it forward in a practical manner. So for myself, I can say that standards play a huge role in this, because the truth is that most organizations actually struggle to capture the full value of their digital investments. And generative AI could play out the same way if leaders deploy it without priming their organizations to reap the benefits. Also for myself, standards play a key role, and for everybody, they can practically help operationalize AI in organizations. And when we say operationalizing in general organizations, then we mean scale. We mean making things more accessible. And it's widely known that the latest innovation in Gen AI wasn't on a research perspective. It was more on putting the capability in a well-wrapped UI at scale, making it accessible for the non-expert user. So obviously scale matters, both in terms of the scale of the models and the data they digest, but also from a usability perspective and how much users can actually derive value from such a tool. So with that, to our dear panelists, briefly from your own experience, I'd be happy if you can share what are the difficulties in scaling and operationalizing Gen AI that you've encountered? Valeria, why don't we start with you?
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for being here. I'm extremely excited to be on the panel. I think it has been mentioned here today that generative AI is not just an AI, right? It touches humans much more closely. It impacts human beings in such a different spectrum. So based on my experience and what I saw, how the organization deploy and employ AI and then try to scale it, I see primarily 4 themes. And those themes are customization, data, talent, and people. And last but crucial is trust. And what I mean by customization, the thing is, no matter what, we need to customize our solutions to serve our business needs. Of course, we can go and buy something off the shelf, but we will compromise on the components of efficiency and effectiveness. That's the first one. The second one is data. Lots of organizations quite often underestimate the effort of getting the right data, testing the data, labeling the data. They don't have the right data management system in place, data management mechanism and the processes. And the third is quite known fact is talent and people. And nowadays it's not about necessarily technical resources, because technical resources are becoming more available and they're out there, but it's actually also the combination of technical resources, business expertise, and development resources as well at the same time. And that combination is really hard to achieve. With a normal economic organizational structure where we got used to retain our talent and keep the same talent and grow, we're missing an opportunity to innovate fast. So one of the models that's been quite used within the organization is actually usage of internal and external resources and combining the power of both. And the last and not least, crucial is trust. And we go back to the component of human beings, because generative AI is impacting humans and impacting cognitive functions of the human, because it's basically replacing our cognitive abilities. At the same time, generating the text, generating the images, writing the text, content translation, and so on. So that's why the trust comes with the component of ethics and regulations. And hopefully we will be able to touch base more on the importance of ethics.
Amazing. Yeah, I think we'll delve into trust later on. And what comes out from what you're saying is that basically there's a challenge there with generative AI not being clearly a research endeavor, but on the other side, it's not clearly a plug and play, and there is specific effort that we're trying to untangle here and understand. So maybe Harvey, with the experience you're bringing from healthcare, you'd want to give your own point.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys, and great intro. Big picture is this. In healthcare, it's a lot difficult in the sense that we have traditional physicians, and that some of them are fighting change in the sense that, this AI to some of my physicians it's really scary. On the other side of that, if we adapt too quickly, I personally worry for our patients that if they use this, they may hurt themselves. And so to discuss your point of barriers, obviously my biggest thing is we need to educate not only to the consumer, but also the physician. If the physician doesn't know the tools that AI is given to their hospital and doesn't truly understand the hallucination effects and the good, the bad, and the unknown, as I jokingly say, then that physician is going to start using the tool not correct, or not realizing, hey, this is wrong, and going on that side. Other barriers, obviously, is we have the FDA in the United States, the GDPR outside of the United States. So privacy is huge. And so it's a slippery slope. We want to make sure we're moving forward, but at the same time, not too fast, because we want to make sure we're safe for our patients. And it's a really sticky subject, because these barriers, we need to educate our healthcare system. Believe it or not, there's only 5,000 physicians in the whole world, rather, that have a good background in healthcare and AI. And so that's another barrier, in that if company X shows up at a hospital and says, hey, we want to create this product, they won't know really what questions to ask. Is how can we trust this data? Is this structured data, unstructured? How is this data? Is there issue with the AI algorithm where maybe it works today, but maybe in 6 months, a year from now, because the data has changed so much, it won't. So great points.
Yes, and data is actually something that we'll see in each vertical coming again and again. Obviously, it's relevant to all verticals, and maybe we can get another perspective from Camilla. I think it'd be interesting to see how sports come into play with Gen AI.
Yeah, yes. First, thank you also for having me here. I think that we are facing like two main challenge regarding Gen AI specifically in sports. From one side, it's the amount of data that we are having. LLMs require massive amounts of data to learn the statistics or relationship between words and concepts. And in this case, example of sports analytics, the data that we have to include, like historical game data, player statistics, and even social media posts. It's a big challenge because we're facing a lot of components, and that's one of the more complex parts that we are facing right now. And the other part that we are seeing, it's a computational experience to train and run. This means that would be very difficult, like to deploy on small or resources contained systems. So that are the two main problems that we are facing right now, mainly in sports industry. Despite, of course, that we were having like a lot of challenges, but we are also seeing a lot of advantages now directly in sports business.
That's great. Great. Thank you. I think it's always fascinating to see how everything comes into play in a specific vertical. And I think we have, last but not least, Arik to share his point of view.
Yes, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Yeah, well, I couldn't agree more with everybody you guys said. As a consultant, a person that stays relevant only when there is a specific problem to solve, I need to say that the scaling AI always needs to, and that's for the business perspective, deliver kind of measurable effects. Ideally, it would be a revenue or margin change or other profit-based metrics. I want to mention three critical things. First one, according to the research and different reports, 70% of the time data scientists, they spend on cleansing and preparing a data, which is definitely high inefficiency point that should be removed if you want to scale fast. Second, around 50% of the companies, they still don't have a proper AI skill force in a place, which also doesn't let them move fast enough in scaling something across the enterprise. The third element I want to mention is definitely lack of frameworks. Many companies are starting here and there what it's called like pocketed proof of concept or pocketed AI implementations, which basically comes from siloed data. So wrapping it up a little bit, I would say the framework, which is a structure and very clear and transparent way of moving forward, should be there from my perspective as a consultant and from the perspective of my data science and consulting team. And also a strong translation to metrics, because from my perspective, there is no executive that will go forward through the pain of scaling AI solution if there is eventually at the end of that path, there is no clear measurable effects like either it's revenue, profit, or solid, calculated, predictable cost efficiency. So that will be my perspective, and thank you so much.
Amazing. So I believe it's already apparent from everything that you've said so far, your vast experience, that an innovative strategy is not built around only the quality of the algorithms, right? It's also about change management. It's about trust, it's the data set, standardization coming into play, supporting regulation, and all while having the right culture within the organization in order to be agile. So what else is there for promoting winning strategy? We mentioned trust a few times, so let's delve a little bit deeper with it as a key factor. And it's not by chance that we have a dedicated working group also in the International Standardization Committee for that topic through AI trustworthiness. also appearing in a risk management standard already published earlier this year. So I call it AI trustworthiness, some call it AI ethics, but wording aside, coming back to our panelists, Harvey, maybe you can give us an example from healthcare on how AI trustworthiness is both challenging yet pushing things forward.
You know, there's two flavors. Everybody's used to hearing a CAT scan that AI read the CAT scan and it found cancer. No one has any issues with that, really, unless it missed it. But obviously, the human being, the radiologist, is going to look at it. When it comes to healthcare, obviously, I'm going to talk about biases in the data, the information that is trained. For example, if it was trained on U.S. women that have breast cancer, and let's say these women are white, then the algorithm is going to reflect recommendations for that study for that population. And so let's just pretend that population is being used now that ChatGPT is being used in India or Africa. That data does not reflect them. And so now we're having a challenge because it's not going to truly reflect that population. So my point is, we need to start, what I see happening is we're going to start having LLMs specific. So we'll have, for example, I'm an ER doctor, LLM that is specific. We can call it ER ChatGPT, or I'm sorry, ER GPT. And then it'll be trained and reinforced by doctors. That way you can trust it. You won't say, hey, this is hallucinating, because doctors are reinforcing it. It's not going to be a non-doctor. And then the other part of that is the data is going to be coming from PubMed or research studies. Now, it'll still have the bias, but my point is, more than likely what will happen is you'll have to have an LLM for the different regions of the world. That way it's very specific to that population. That way we're trying our best to eliminate as much bias as possible. With that said, we're all human. We're all still going to have some biases, but I think it'll do a better job.
Amazing. And it's a real challenge in health. I wonder how it is eminent in sports. Camila, maybe you can address that.
Yes, I think that the most interesting thing in sports is the part of the fairness. We, for example, in our company, we have developed an AI algorithm to match player with clubs. Before, clubs, when they have to scout a player, they just like have their contacts or the people they were just sitting around in their contacts. Now with AI, they had the chance to see worldwide and all the players, no matter if you're in Korea, if you're in South Africa, or if you're in Latin America, somebody's going to watch you. So I think that the most interesting component is like how we can bring us all to the same page and to the same level to be as fair as we can in the order to have a shot. In this case, in football industry, just the 1% of football players has the chance to sign a contract. I think that number can change because we are going to have more players, and also we have to have more markets. So I think like the fairness part is the most interesting, and we are working a lot in order to make a more fair system with AI models.
So fairness and bias mitigation are the key cornerstones for you. Amazing. Arik, what was your perspective?
Yeah, I need to tell before I start commenting a little bit about that. By the way, amazing question. Is I'm a huge believer that AI can do a lot of good, and that requires a strong leadership, ethical leadership, and things like that. But I want to give you an example of one of the project that is actually one of a good example of in my opinion, of intersection of something that is very valuable for business and at the same time very valuable for a specific group of people. I'm talking about one of the projects that helps people to learn sign language. So like normally you don't have to use sign language as long as you have a family member or friends or somebody that is close to you that you would love to communicate this way. But if you imagine a company, and I'm talking about huge brand that we all know, but through the no disclosure, I cannot mention the name, but we know that brand. It's a huge player. That you want to hire this kind of, that you want to hire people that are actually using sign language every day. You want them to be part of your organization for many different reasons. I don't want to comment that why, but you want to have them on board. And then you have people that are not using sign language on an everyday basis. So if you expose them to like video and gesture recognition technology, so I can spend like 10 minutes daily in front of my iPhone camera and show the gestures to my phone, and the phone can actually check if my gesture is right, because in sign language, the same or similar gesture like conducted at the chest level means something different if it's actually conducted at the head level. If you can practice that, and algorithms that can understand that can tell you if you're doing it right or wrong, I call that AI for good. And at the same time, something very valuable for business process automation on the large company side. So my comment would be that, again, strong use case is always in place. In my opinion, it needs to be there. Business needs to buy that and expect profits. Doesn't matter if it's for the for minorities, diverse, other things. It's business, but we can do a lot of good things if our approach from the beginning actually address specific issues, challenges of groups of people, or in this case, people with people that want to learn sign language. So thank you for this question, and that will be my comment and the real-time example, which is actually working.
Amazing, Eric. Thank you very much. I think, Valeria, it'd be interesting to kind of visit this question from a broader perspective with you, not through a specific vertical, maybe. What's your thoughts of that?
I think first of all, I want to do mention the point about AI for good, because now organization, actually big organizational businesses, they have a compliance to report on sustainability reporting. And one of the things using AI efficiency for environment, for hiring, unbiased hiring, for right usage of resources, for especially disability hiring as well, becoming a core of the sustainability reporting, and that's actually essential. When we talk about the ethics, and it's becoming such a nuance in the AI area that everyone talks about ethics now. The people who's got ethics background or don't have ethics background, but the problem is ethics means different things for each of us. What is ethical for you might not necessarily be ethical for my neighbor, correct? So there is also another term, another terminology used within the organization is the responsible AI framework, which is more common, which is a bit softer. And this is not only necessarily about the steps to take in order to deploy ethical AI solution. It's actually much more. It's the entire ecosystem. And this ecosystem goes into the DNA of the company and their GRC functions, governance, risk, and compliance. And this is essential. Most of the organizations that have their GRC sorted, they actually don't have much complications and understanding on what is AI framework. Another point about the AI framework, principle, governance, compliance processes, they're all available online. All big tech advertising on this, on how they use it, what they're using. They have steps, methodologies for people to pick up on. But the thing is, our regulation does not have enough even time to catch up with the development of either AI or generative AI, because they're creating regulation as we speak. And by the time they issue it, it's becoming irrelevant. So I think that's the problem that people cannot reconcile. So one of the things. And we can go into the details in terms of the AI framework and what is actually the most essential. And it's always will come to biases, transparency, trustworthiness, robust solutions, mitigations of risk, and compliance with regulations and ethics.
Amazing. I think the key highlight that I'll take from your answer is the very imminent EU AI Act legislation coming to businesses, and with Brussels effect that's expected, it's going to be kind of a domino effect with other governments around the world and other legislators. And I think a lot of businesses undervalue how much standardization is tied to regulation and actually supporting it. So with the EU Act specifically, the EU Commission actually mandated their standardization regional body to develop tailor-made standards to support AI risk management and AI management systems, which all touch upon the topics that you mentioned with governance in the organization and bias mitigation, which again brings us to the beginning of the question, which is trust. Trust by the user in order to allow for scale, in order to allow leveraging of the technology. So I find that answer amazing. Thank you very much for that. maybe a small anecdote, if you can shortly, from a personal perspective, which problems that you saw implementing an innovative general AI strategy surprised you the most? What was kind of unexpected? Arik, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to say that Valerie has a great she had a great comment about frameworks, and as a consultant, I'm in big favor of like structured approach to AI because we can be lured by many off-the-shelf tools, and starting with a tool set instead of the skill set. I was surprised with pretty interesting issues that I found on my consulting journey. One of them were so simple to find out, and we as a consultant were approached like summarization is a huge thing for me. People don't have time; they don't want to spend time on reading and checking, making bullets out of something. And I believe that we were talking about that there's only 5,000 doctors or physicians in the United States that was mentioned here that they understand AI. And so I want to say that in business, people are so in a hurry and rush that sometimes they are trying to solve problems that have been already solved. And all of them are really minor things like summarization, bullet pointing, building slides, things like that. And I want to say here loudly, if somebody's here looking for the help of that, you don't need consultants and nobody here for that. That's very easy to tackle with what is a tool set right there available. And it can be very time server. But I also find like interesting, like people wanted to scan like a dog faces or birds faces or bird looks or signs and sounds, different things for like triggering different actions. Like people are searching for sometimes for, we might say, bizarre use cases, but I'm never judging them because for instance, one customer asked me for like understanding which dog is entering the house, if that's possible, and you can understand the dog face and things like that, which from the value perspective and good things doesn't influence a lot of people. It's not a scalable case. But if you look at the ugly culture, looking at the animals recognition on the farms or protecting animal herds from like wildlife, and from insurance perspective, that actually opened a huge business, multi-million-dollar case when you can actually see which
is going to be insurance that you mentioned is actually a whole panel on its own. So we'll do a hard break on that just in the sake of time, and maybe visit healthcare with Harvey.
Yeah, honestly, one of the things that really, really shocked me were too, I never thought we would be in a day where we would not have a simple scribe or I could take this keyboard and throw it away. I mean, we're there. When I see a patient, I never really thought that I could talk to a patient and not have to type. And here's the huge thing about healthcare. AI is giving me the ability to actually look at my patient, look at that camera and interact. A lot of times patients will say stuff and unfortunately they may lie or they may twitch their eye or something that they don't want to tell the truth. But if I'm not looking at the keyboard and I'm actually looking at the patient, now I can give better healthcare. The last part that really, really shocked me was I'm really into AR and VR, and just having those technologies together, being able to add that. And now when I discharge a patient, being able to put glasses on them and say, here's your heart. This is why I need you to take your medicine, and then walk them through it. And the other last part would be just the ability to talk to them in their language, but not just their language, in their culture. So I used to work by an airport. I would get people from all over the world. How nice would it be if I could use AI to translate what I was saying to their language? But then when I use examples, I use American examples. Why not use their culture examples that are sensitive and say, hey, this is this. Now I'm giving excellent healthcare. And I never saw that happen.
Inclusion, great. Valeria, kind of briefly, in the sake of time.
Briefly, I think I will go a bit of an opposite direction. I'm surprised by the abundance of technologies and available tools out there that we are not using in terms of translations, voice recording. We had a Hollywood strike at the moment that writers and artists have no jobs anymore because they're being replaced by AI. So from an even personal perspective, right? I'm surprised that how many tools I don't know I want to use, but no one tells me when to use them and how to use them. So I think that's my most surprising.
overabundance. So that's why you need the right help to choose the right fit for you. Camilla, what's your perspective?
Yes, I would also like bring it to sports and also to healthcare, as Harvey mentioned before. I think like improving player safety with a lot of Gen AIs and new technologies, we have the chance to detect a lot of injuries for players, and that's like life changer because you will have the chance not just to change somebody's life, but also to help them with the ecosystem, how the players, when the team's going to perform and everything there. So I think there's a good connection between sport and healthcare that I think it's going to change the game for like ever before.
Amazing. If I'm kind of thinking about your answers, each one from their own vertical and also from a broader perspective, I think what comes into play are basically 5 key points for our audience to consider if they want to leverage Gen AI in the right way. So one would be, from your example, is knowing how to ask the right questions, right? The second would be spotting wrong answers fast in the right context. The third one, coming back to what Valeria said about organization already being ripe and ready to employing being agile, is continually building proprietary data from the MLOps pipeline they already have. The fourth would be making sure the organization learns quickly. But here, I mean the entire organization. So when I say agile, I don't only mean the IT department, but all the processes across the organization. And trying to find those processes within the organization that are no human touch, where we can actually leverage the technology at its fullest. So with that, thank you, dear panelists. It was amazing. It just flew by the time. I think we can talk for hours, which we'll probably do offline. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you from our side also. And listening to you guys, this is exactly the core why Swiss Cognitive is doing this kind of conferences, sharing knowledge and also understand how much we don't know. And I'm sure out there in the audience, we have people who may have answers to what you discussed. So thanks a lot. A big virtual high five to our panelists and our panel leader, unpacking innovative strategies fueled by generative AI with you. It was really super cool. And as you have said already, time flies. Yoav, Valeria, Camilla, Harvey, and Arek, thanks a lot for being with us. Dear audience, connect with them on LinkedIn, take on the discussions, and see you hopefully very soon, either virtually or in person. Thanks. Well, we are on to our next session, from efficiency to inspiration. For this, I'd like to welcome now our next expert on stage, Lars. He is the founder of Supertrends, that is a futuristic platform designed to transform research and business decision-making by offering powerful tools for innovation opportunities and staying ahead of the competition. Lars, a warm welcome on our virtual stage. Let me introduce you to our audience. As an economist and engineer by training, you are a serial entrepreneur who has founded 13 companies in telecommunications, software development, property, media, and finance, including in 2016, Nordic Eye Ventures and Growth Capital, which is now up to around 9 multiple, and the Swiss-based forecasting company Supertrends. You have written 17 books on topics such as creativity, marketing, high-tech, the future, innovation, and financial markets. This includes quite a lot of international bestsellers. You have also won a number of innovation awards, including the Wall Street Journal Europe Innovation Award, Red Herring Global 100 Awards, and Swiss IMD Startup Award. From efficiency to inspiration, Lars, I'm personally looking very much forward to hearing your perspective based on such a vast experience. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And as you mentioned, I've started a number of companies, and 2 things happen when you start a number of companies. You learn a lot about starting companies, but you also learn something about yourself. And one of the things I've learned about myself is that I have to take my original estimate of time and cost and multiply it by P. And sometimes I have to multiply it by P 2 times or 3 times. And the last company that I founded, Supertrends, I began to feel that I had to multiply it with P quite a few times because it's like a Bloomberg of innovation, and it just requires a lot of people, a lot of data, or that's what I thought a year ago. And we were on it, and then suddenly AI started really working, and then it took a completely different dimension. And so I could have called my speech "Saved by AI" because that's really how I feel. Today, I think 95% of what we do in the company, what we deliver, the client experience, is delivered by AI. And a year ago, it was pretty close to 0%. So I can't see the slides. Are the slides? Now I can see it. Okay. Yeah, so this is Supertrends. And I'll just see if it comes up here. Yeah, these are the books I've written, and so these are in different languages. So it's 18 books now actually. But when I've written these books, a lot of it is about innovation and the future and marketing, so on. And I've been thinking I need in working with venture investments, venture capital fund, and so on. I need to know better what goes on. For instance, in venture capital, we got around even the first year, I think we got about 700 different pitch decks, and you just look at them too quickly, and sometimes you discard something which is probably quite good. So I thought I needed something where I would check what goes on in an innovation very quickly. That was really the idea. So the right idea was to find something that would give me an overview of any sector, any technology very, very quickly. And then I wrote together with a McKinsey consultant a summary book about this task really, and what we are working on is called From Malthus to Mars, referring to Malthus, who thought we would run out of resources, and now we're not running out of resources and thinking about going to Mars instead. So the idea was that I've been in finance a lot, and in finance you have this Bloomberg screen, and on the Bloomberg screen you can see everything that goes on. You just enter a subject and you see all the prices, everything. So this is what you see here is from our first prototype. Different screens that show what goes on in innovation, not in financial markets. But we moved on, and the first thing that we had to create is a timeline that showed all the different innovations throughout history, and then the innovations that are expected in the future. And we recorded, first we mapped about 12,000 different historical timelines, and then we started to ask experts in different fields to come with predictions for what would happen in the future within what they worked in. And that was a very big work. And in the beginning, we had just this quite raw list with fairly short descriptions, especially about the story. And now it looks like what you see on the screen, where you have all the little round things represent different innovations in a given year. So you can choose any year, and then you can see how many predictions there are. And then you can choose a subject area, and then you can see specifically which predictions we have for this subject area. So the issue there is that, how do you get this visualized, and how do you get it captured without having hundreds and hundreds of people? So here, for instance, I chose a subject area, and then you can see a breakdown on all the different predictions that there are within that area. So what we found out we had to do was to use a lot of AI. So first we use AI to search. Now I'm only talking about the predictions. So we use AI to search for predictions for a sector. In the beginning, we just asked experts, and the experts would typically come with 3 to 5 predictions. Now we ask AI, and we go out and ask, for instance, can you come with 50 predictions for an area? And the AI will do that. And then we look at the predictions, and then we cross-check with sectors where we know there's a lot of action going on. And then we ask specifically, can you come with predictions for this sector combined with that sector. For instance, we did that with interior design, where we asked, can you do that for the interior design combined with digital coding, digital screens? And then it brought a lot of specific predictions for that. So we go on and doing that. It doesn't take days, it doesn't take minutes either. It takes a few hours to go through and cross-examine different predictions and then have them timed then. So for every prediction we ask for a year when this will happen, and then we go to another AI model that has been GPT-4. Actually, we ask GPT-4 to criticize the timing and argue for and against the timing. So typically we have 50 predictions for a sector, and so we ask GPT-4 to criticize the timing of each of them. Normally it doesn't change much, but it changes a little bit. Sometimes it says this has actually happened. So we are playing the different AI models against each other in that way. Then we have a list, right? We have a list of, say, 50 predictions for a sector. And then our editors, so this is people, that's why I illustrated with a blue color this time. They review the predictions. Normally out of 50, they will remove 5 or 10. They say it doesn't sound really relevant to the subject area. Then we send it to an expert who is working with, in this case, interior design, but it could also be nuclear fusion power, for instance. The expert then edits it, typically deletes some things, change formulation of a few things, adds some things, and then we get the timeline back. Sometimes it takes a long time for the expert to do it. Sometimes it comes the next day. But then that gives us a really high quality predictions for a sector. Then the editor, so this is one of our people again, rate every prediction in importance for the condition for mankind from 1 to 10. And then it goes into our system. Then AI creates illustrations, brings up 4 different illustrations for every story. And we've done that for also for all the 12,000 historical innovations that we have mapped. So all in all now it's 3,600 predictions and 12,000 historical ones. So a lot of illustrations. And then AI does tagging as well. We have a taxonomy with 125 different main categories. And then it goes out and gets released into our timeline and goes into the news flow, which we have software for. And one of the things we found was that AI saved us in the tagging, because when you want to tag something, you need to have a lot of substance before the tagging really picks up the importance of it. So the second prediction we have in our system is 2 million years ago. Our predictions go 3.3 million years back. But 2 million years ago was the control of fire. And at first we had this short prediction and it said, yeah, this is important for heat and light. But then we asked AI to come out to do a new version, which would be between 300 and 400 words. And it came with this. And then we ran the automatic AI tagging system again. And then it found 20 different things. And that's why we realized we have to have more meat on the bone. We have to have really fat descriptions of everything. And then AI can really find what leads to what. So AI has found 120,000 different dependencies between technologies, how technologies depend on previous stuff and how they create the precondition for subsequent stuff. So so the combination of getting much more elaborate descriptions and then using the AI system gave us insights that were impossible before. So we do a number of other things. The only other thing that I'll go in detail with here is how we do news stories. So he has 2 screenshots from our mobile app, which is running in beta right now, but comes out within a few weeks. But news stories is a big thing because there's a lot going on, and everybody can indicate what they're interested in on our system, and we want them to only see that. So how do we present everything that goes on in technology and science? That's an enormous task for a startup company. So we use algorithms to scan 3,000 different media, 5,000 media for 3,000 keywords. So that's 15 million combinations every day that it scans. So that's algorithm. It's not AI. That's why I use a third color here. But that scanning then results in a number of AI stories. So AI writes daily summaries of everything that goes on in technology and science that day, and it uses natural language processing. So can you imagine the number of editors we would need to have in order to screen 5,000 meters for 3,000 keywords every day and write summaries? I would say, I made a rough calculation, I would say 200 people. This is done entirely with software now. Then we have editors who approve the stories. Then again, AI creates illustrations of the stories. AI tag the stories, same system as we do for the predictions and milestones. AI, our editors rate the stories, and then it goes to the news flow. So all in all, what would require 200 people a year ago, we can now do with less than 20. But it's not only that, because we could do it much, much faster and we don't miss anything. So it comes out in this service where you can see different media presentations. And then what we do is that we do search in our system on different subjects. And then we take a number of predictions about a subject. And then we give it to AI and say, write a story about this sector. And it can do that straight away. We also ask AI to do completely random combinations, check for random combinations of technology to see if there are something nobody has thought about. For instance, it came up with one about dating technology and pet technology. And then it found that actually somebody made a dating technology for parrots, which is very popular, and so on. So it comes up with really unexpected stuff automatically. And of course, we have editors who check if it makes any sense at all, but sometimes it does, and it gives us weird ideas. But our ultimate goal is to create this into what you call personal AI. And that means I think that the media industry, especially news and business media, technology media, will transition from being products to being a personalized, mass customized service, personal AI. And that means that, let's say that I'm in a fitness room with earplugs, or I'm in a car or on a train, and I tell it, can you give me a summary of what happened since Wednesday? And it knows what I'm interested in. And I tell it, I've got 22 minutes. Give me a 22-minute summary of what happened since Wednesday. And it tells me all of that. Or I'm on my way to a meeting with a bank client who works in an industry I know nothing about, but I want to be fluent in it. Tell me what's going on. And it tells me all the startups, all the news stories, all the predictions, all the technologies. And again, I say, I have this much time. So tell me in this time. All the elements for this exist. Our task is simply to put it together. So in summary, what AI has done so far is to run a 200 people company with less than 20 people. And then what it will do to us in the future is to create a completely new kind of media, which will whisper into your ear what you need to know at the time and format you ask for right there. So I am a very big lover of AI.
Thanks, Lars. A round of virtual applause for you. It was really great, and I like the last picture, kind of the combination of AI and coffee. I actually could use one right now. Oh, good. So I'm with water. So let me deep dive into our first question out of the audience. How do you avoid AI predictions being hallucinations? And what's the accuracy rate of your predictions? Any backtesting for today's era?
Okay, so let me ask you the first part first. So as I said, we have a backstop, which is that we show the predictions to experts who are working in the field. And that's where first our editors, they sort out stuff that they think is irrelevant or doesn't make sense at all. But ultimately, I think it's pretty good. So it doesn't make many mistakes with hallucinations. Actually, I think that in a way, the hallucinations are great because it has a good imagination, but the imagination makes sense most of the time. But at the end, we show it to somebody who works in the industry. It's been tried. People don't want it. It's not going to happen. People don't want it. But as for fiction, but for non-fiction, this is what people want. So we just got this detail that the system hadn't captured. And very, very often, for instance, also we got a lot of predictions for electric airplanes. And then we had an expert from General Electric, and he said, yes, it's possible, but it makes no sense because you can do it much smarter with other technologies. And then he's kind of scratched a lot of that. So it's important to have the people who are insiders on the industry at the end. But as I said, before we started using the AI to create the list, we would ask an expert, and the expert will come with 3 to 5 predictions. Now it's more like 50.
Okay. So thinking of that, where do you see where we should rely mostly on the human being?
I think it's the common sense for. I mean, I can only speak for the sector I work in here, which is a combination of tech, science, and media. I think it's the common sense that comes from actually working with the things, because there are a lot. There are also people who make starry-eyed predictions about something, and they are not realistic because they don't work with it. And the example I said with electric battery-driven airplanes is just an example that yes, you can do it, but it's insanely stupid way to run an airplane for this and those reasons. But if I can just extend my answer, I would say that where I think most people underestimate it is to use the hallucinations, if we can call it that, constructively, because it is really good at coming up with ideas that make sense also. And one way to check that, if for somebody who hasn't tried it, is describe a business and then ask it to come up with 20 great slogans. And then you will see it will do it, and some of them will be really great.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Lars. You are inspirational. Diving into from efficiency to inspiration within generative AI was nothing short of education. So thanks a lot, Lars, for sharing your views and being with us here. And actually, I hope that we will meet in person very soon.
Well, I'm based in Zug, so...
Et voilà. Yeah. So actually just 2 lakes between us.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, and see you. Bye, Lars.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Dear audience, take on the discussions with our experts on LinkedIn, on the chat, and use this opportunity to exchange further. Now we are heading to our next panel. Dear audience, as we journey through the realm of generative AI and its boundless creative powers, our next panel promises a riveting exploration, the potential of workforce redefined by generative AI. How does AI sculpt our workplaces and redefines roles? Let's deep dive into the transformative effects with our next panelists. Ready to envision the future of work? Let's see the stage for an enlightening discussion. On the stage with me, Carolina, Evelina, Esha, Arjun, and Asaf. Dear panelists, a warm welcome to all of you. And Caroline, as you are leading this discussion, let me introduce you first to the audience. My dear friend, your journey in digital innovation has taken you from Barcelona to the US and Switzerland, showcasing your versatility as a strategic thinker, techie, and creative communicator. As a group head at Nestlé since 2022, you've been at the helm of the brand's R&D digital transformation, blending data analytics and AI. With experience in industries like telco, healthcare, and automotive, you've also illuminated academia mentoring at institutions like Barcelona Tech School and ITsPeople. With over 70 published tech papers, a patent, and numerous speaking engagements, your impact on transformation and AI is undeniable. Great to have you back here on stage, Carolina.
Thank you.
Now to our first panelist, Evelina. You are managing partner at the early stage venture capital fund Wall Street. Active in AI, tech, and business forums, you frequently speak about AI investment, ethics, and politic matters. Previously, you served as an executive at AI company Pelatrion and have a background as an M&A lawyer. Additionally, you are co-founder of the legal tech company Justic, an advisor on AI Sweden, and you hold board positions. Evelina, welcome on stage. I'm really happy that it worked out. Together with you, we have Esha, a new face, which we are always welcoming from the bottom of our heart. Dear Esha, you are the co-founder of Yodlee and no stranger to breaking barriers. An Apple alum with a rich software background, you've turned your personal crusade mastering communication in a male-dominated tech world into a mission. With your unique blend of Toastmaster training and software experience from California Polytechnic, and you are leveraging AI to revolutionize public speaking and empower millions to find their voice. So we definitely have to talk afterwards how I can benefit from it too. Esha, I can't wait to hear your perspective. Let me welcome Arjun. First and foremost, thank you for dialing in from Japan, dear audience, which means it is very late for you. We appreciate your taking your time and energy to share your perspective from the side of the world that is so innovative and forward-looking as Japan. Arjun, you bring over 20 years of experience championing trust and safety in the tech industry, starting your journey with the tech titans like Google, TikTok, and AWS. You have seen firsthand the challenges of scaling transformative cultures. Your advocacy for integrating safety in product development, and your contribution to combating online threats like misinformation and child abuse have made waves. Your recent focus at Smart News on newsfeed integrity spotlights the urgency and addressing misinformation and ensuring user experience integrity. Welcome on stage, Arjun. Last but not least, Asaf, crisp and to the point. You are co-founder and CEO of Allison AI. You have more than 15 years of marketing and business development experience. An entrepreneur at heart, Allison AI is the third company you have founded, and you hold a bachelor in business administration and an MBA in marketing from IDC Herzliya in Israel. Toda v'shalom, Asaf. So great to have you all here, a very diverse panel where I'm sure an exchange will be flying like, now I lost my words. Anyway, the virtual stage is yours. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much. And welcome everyone to the panel discussion, The Potential of Workforce Redefined by Generative AI. Just to start with a couple of things, generative AI is already starting to reshape the workforce. It's not something that will happen. It's already happening with tools, for example, like ChatGPT, which got 1.7 billion visits last month in August. It's only its 9 months of operation. And generative AI automates routine tasks, freeing up time for creativity and innovation. We're going to be talking about that. It can also personalize customer experience. It can enhance decision-making, transform entire industries. And it's about augmenting human potential. We're going to be talking about that as well. And as businesses embed more and more AI, new job roles emerge in AI development, ethics, and regulation. So we're going to start talking about how AI can augment the workforce, because the workforce of tomorrow will be very dynamic with AI as a collaborator, enabling all of us to achieve more, innovate faster, and create a future that's better for all of us. So Evelina, I'm going to start with you. You work in venture capital. So what possibilities do you see with the AI within your field? And I'm going to ask you to be brief so we can ask a lot of questions to everyone.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, I'm very bullish on AI. I think the applications of AI are likely to impact, everything. The critical parts of our economy, society, and it's already started. And I think we're just scratching the surface when we see the most promising innovations and value creations. But I think it's also important to have two thoughts in mind. It's a double-edged sword. There are ethical considerations and challenges to address, and we can talk about them later. But I mean, the AI hype is in full force. AI startups are popping up like mushrooms. They get acquired for billions of dollars already. So this is not a drill. We need to be aware of this hype, and I'm sort of looking forward to a more mature market.
Thank you. We're definitely going to be talking about the other side of the sword in the next block. But now I'm going to be with you, Asaf, because video is one of the most disrupted areas by AI. Lots of startups in that area. So how does creative analysis technology like yours can harness AI's creative potential to enhance video content? And could you perhaps provide some specific examples of how such a technology has transformed traditional video content into something more innovative and engaging? So to bring it to life for our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I think part of the secret sauce is not just having one AI engine, but having a multiple or few AI engines that are working in unison together. So basically, within creative analysis and videos in particular, the first thing that we want to look at using AI is a process called feature extraction. Basically, look at a video and extract it into thousands of little features. We call them elements. This is basically our basis of analysis. Then we would like to understand, again, using AI, what's the impact of each one of those features on the actual performance of the videos. Then basically updating content based on the data and having data-driven video content. I think it's one of the most interesting areas within AI in particular. And I can give you an example, a funny example actually. We're working with a pet food company, and they're used to do regular creatives with real live animals, like a real cat, for example. So Allison actually recommended to not create a real cat, but create an animated cat that is fat, rounded, and make you smile a bit. Now, I think humans would it would be difficult for humans to grasp why a pet food company would use a fat cat. But the proof is in the pudding, and I think this is exactly where the AI comes in. So we basically said not all cats could be eating lasagna. Click here for healthy alternatives. And this idea, this concept came 100% from AI, and it proved to be 50% better in performance within a month. So it
Wow.
works, and we really use AI for creativity and innovation as well.
Okay, thanks. So Isham, going with you because text and speech is another big area being disrupted by AI. How can AI help with improving our everyday speech? Dalit, ask for help. I'm asking for help officially here as well. How can you help us?
Yeah, great question. Hi, everyone. My name is Isha, and I'm so excited to be talking to you all today. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Absolutely. There is tremendous opportunity for AI to help folks with their writing and their speech. We've seen lots of products that exist out there to help with that. Some are commercialized, like Jasper, others are fairly mainstream and accessible to use, like ChatGPT. On the speech front, you can think of Udly as a ChatGPT for speech, where it's fine tuned specifically for how you speak and in what modalities you speak in. So, for example, as you're speaking, and I'm actually using this right now, you can get feedback on whether or not you're rambling or whether you're talking differently to one person or another. And it's very helpful for understanding how you're coming off and what you're saying, as well as looking and analyzing what you're saying after the fact. For example, how could you rephrase an intro or something that you could have said to be more casual or colloquial or be more formal based on um, the context of what you're saying. So it's very AI is serving to be very useful for speech and writing across the board. And this is just the start. I'm excited to see where it goes in the future and how different products and tools around the world, including my own, such as Udly, can help folks become better communicators.
Well, that's amazing. I'm definitely touching base with you later. So let's look at the other side, right? The other side of the sword, because many of us are concerned also, right? Super excited about AI, but also about the ethical issues about AI, about potential job losses, disruptive changes brought about by AI. So I'm going to go back again with Evelina, because you mentioned there are hundreds of startups in generative AI right now. As an investor to a variety of startups in different sectors, what is your impression on how aware they are about the potential of innovation and disruption through AI?
There's no doubt that there are many founders that see the potential with it. And I think it's important to not be don't let the hype around generative AI cause you to forget like the core principles of building a successful company, which is creating something that people truly need. And in an era like this, where cost of intelligence is going to zero, I think businesses must focus on building defensible value to establish and maintain their competitive edge. As an investor, we talk about moats. I think this will be key in this time. And I think proprietary data will also play a big role in defensibility over time. Going back to what you mentioned in the beginning, I think also that investors could play a crucial role in ensuring that AI is implemented and used in a responsible and ethical way. We have the capital and therefore we have the power, so we can improve and make sure that we're fostering trust and promoting long-term sustainability. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting take. Another one is around kind of transformation of jobs. So for Asad, this one's for you, right? Because in a landscape, the one that you described on the video with the example where AI is increasingly being integrated into those creative processes, suggesting that cat that nobody had thought of and driving more engagement. How do you strike a balance between AI-driven enhancement and the preservation of the human creativity and the artistic intent, right? Is there such a thing as a fine balance? Do we know?
Absolutely, there's a fine balance, and I must say we're great believers of this combination between humans and AI. We call it. So I don't think there's an immediate large scale threat to, let's say, the workforce. Definitely, it's something to look forward to. Now, the AI really helps us to zoom in into the features and elements that are driving the performance. And humans are taking the final decision and guiding the artistic approach. While only humans are responsible for, let's say, training the AI, training the models, the algorithms, in order to align with their artistic approach that they've detailed. Now, some areas or some tasks are literally impossible for humans to do on scale and in a timely manner, whereas other tasks are, let's say, impossible for AI. For example, the more intricate and more subjective processes within our um, uh, work activities are more designed towards AI. This is something I think, sorry, more designed towards humans, subjectiveness, intricate, the more difficult task to do that really needs a lot of different capabilities. Whereas analyzing data on scale is something that AI could really do, million times better than people. So I think this combination is how we look at humans in guiding and detailing the approach, and then some of the tasks are being allocated or outsourced in a way the AI and then in the AI capabilities.
Okay, really interesting. Isha, let's see if you share that view on your area, right? With an example of a job that may be changed by AI, you were giving the example of how you're using technology right now, which is something that until now a human speech coach would have done, perhaps. So what do you think about the future of human coaches? Is it a future where they're going to be replaced by AI? Speech coaches like yours, combination, like Asab was saying, for more the other creative processes. How do you say that?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely not. No, I don't think that AI can ever replace a human coach, because a human coach right now is fantastic at providing emotion and context and understanding the person's emotional state and point of view. I think of AI as a speech coach's assistant or speech coach's co-pilot, excuse me, whereby AI can handle a lot of the mundane tasks around helping a speech coach identify what are common patterns that somebody might have, from their filler words to their tone, pitch, intonation, body language, posture, whether or not they're monologuing or rambling, how they react in certain situations. But a human coach can take that and be able to dig deep and understand the why behind why these might happen, and help somebody address the initial cause. And so I think the idea of AI replacing a lot of humans is both frightening and, to some people, exciting and exhilarating. From my perspective, I don't think it's the way. And I think having the two work together is always going to be a perfect complement and a way to help people become better communicators in the future.
Okay, thank you. This is for the audience. You're probably wondering why Arjun is not participating in the panel. He's having technical issues, and talking about referred to threats. So he is very experienced in risks. So since we don't have him yet, I encourage you to put maybe questions or thoughts around risks and threats in the chat that we can pick up later. Now let's think about. We've been talking about how we're going to augment the workers, right, with AI. So let's think about for a moment and how the future might look like. We don't know how it will look like, but we have a lot of ideas, right? So Evelyn has been referring to so many startups, right, being funded and the landscape that's mushrooming everywhere. So I'm going to stay with you, Isha, on startups. And Asa, feel free to chime in as well as another startup here. But how do how do generative AI start to distinguish themselves, right, from one another? If at some point all startups are powered by AI, where is really the unique value proposition?
Absolutely. This is something that keeps me up because as a young startup that has a strong element of generative AI, how can we ensure that we stay top of the market and are top of mind, both from a user standpoint, but also from an investor standpoint? The way that I think about it is twofold. One is through the distribution, and second is through the experience that the user has. If we remember years ago when mobile apps became the craze and every product had a mobile app, and it was no longer a differentiator, because as long as you could use the product on the go and get value from it, it was sort of foundational to everything. I think we're at a similar stage, or we're approaching a similar stage for that of AI, where the expectation is that you're going to have some element of AI in your product, whether it's sophisticated and you develop your own models and fine tune it, or it's something a lot simpler where you're using something off the shelf, like any of the GPT products, for example. It's going to be foundational. So the two ways I think to differentiate are through, as I said, distribution and the user's experience. With the distribution, you just have a large number of folks using your product in an organic way or even non-organic way. And I think that's a way for your product to, one, gain the wide masses, but two, create a following and a brand that's different from just what is capable of the product itself. People like it, they enjoy it, they share it. And I think that's incredibly important. And the second is the user's experience. Given that AI can surface in many different ways as like a chat bot or a co-pilot in the product, it's very important that the user feels like they're being held in an experience and that they're not overwhelmed or nervous or scared about what they're interacting with. I've seen a number of products that work really well, but shock the user in terms of how they're presenting the AI front and center. So user experience is going to be very important. It's something that we're spending a lot of time on and continuing to learn really what works and what doesn't. I don't know if there's a framework yet that's set in stone, but I'm excited to see what are some true and tried patterns for developing an interface that's powered by AI.
Thank you. Any comments from perhaps Safed, from a startup? Evelina, you see more startups than any of us combined on this one, on differentiation.
Sorry, I'm trying to get the mute off here. Yeah, and as I was mentioning, I think, I mean, we are now in an era where cost of intelligence is going to zero, and it will be key to sort of build a moat and sort of build defensibility. And I don't have the answer to it. I think it's hard, but I guess I think it's important to think about the data and how it's used. And I agree that you need to be sort of like customer obsessive. We're talking about like user experience. I think that's important. But I think this is also one of the reasons that we, or many investors right now, are a bit of a wait and see moment. And I can just speak for ourselves, but I mean, our focus right now is sort of making sure that our portfolio companies implement AI and sort of stay competitive. And then it's sort of interesting to see what's happening around us. But I think there's a crazy hype right now, and I think it will go down. And eventually, we will have like a more mature market where we actually use it very, very actually creates value. And also one thing, I'm not sure that like AI technology, AI companies is necessarily a VC case. I think the big winners could be the big corporates because they have legacy systems, they have a lot of data, they have processes that today are not efficient. And if you apply AI to that, I think that will be crazy.
Right. Maybe I can come in on that one because I represent a very big corporate. I work for Nestle, and we are really focusing a lot of when it comes to our workforce and how to make the close to 300,000 people that work for Nestle more productive. It's a lot about that, and what we call like everyday AI, and removing a lot of things that you need to do in a lot of manual iterations and things to get to actually delivering value. And so that's what we are focusing on, and that's already huge in terms of augmented product. There are numbers out there. You can find numbers for everything, between 20 and 30% more productive by doing that, right? Which is huge in a company our size. So Asaf, circling back to startups, just to wrap it up, any comment on differentiation?
First, I must say I completely agree. I think that it's crucial for AI startups or startups that are powered by AI to create their own moat. But looking ahead, that's with a lot of certainty we can say that many of our friends within AI startups will slowly die because they won't be able to raise capital, because competition will be too fierce, because their niche is too small, etc., etc. But I also think that we're going to see a lot of consolidation in this area, and I think that the consolidation or the companies, the enterprises that are going to lead this march on consolidation of the bigger enterprises, the more legacy companies that are going to either acquire or merge a lot of different small startups together and create their own AI monster, within their legacy product. So I completely agree, and this is a little bit of my take on how the future will look like for modern AI.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to move away from startups and back to the workforce, us, members of the workforce, us creators. So I'm going to stay with you, Asaf, on this one, because as AI evolves, it really has the capacity, the potential to not only analyze content and give us hints on things, but also generate original creative works, right? The next step. And so how do you envision the collaboration between AI and the workforce and the human creators in the future? And how can it be facilitated we have harmony in there?
Yeah. So first, I think that right now, I would just want to say 100% of, let's say, videos are generated by us humans. But I foresee, and from my perspective, I think that within 2 years, between 30 and 40% of short form videos, which are up to 60 seconds long, will be generated by generative AI models for videos and not by humans. So if in the past, a campaign manager or a marketer needed to have a designer, a studio in order to create new creatives, now and looking forward to the next 2 years, I think that marketers can really facilitate this process by using those models that will generate the videos on demand. Now, us at Allison AI will save a lot of time on prompt iterations, exactly like you've mentioned. The iterations on prompts are almost endless, right? Until we get to the right output. So we're saving a lot of time on prompt iteration, and we're facilitating the process by basing the prompts on billions with a B, billions of different data points that are taken directly from our customers, their activity, their direct competitors' activities, and basically ensuring that the output creative, the end result of the generative models, will be of high quality, high relevance to the brand and the audience and the market, etc. So yeah, that's my take a little bit. I think this duality between the models and how us humans we would look into adopting those, this would be the key differentiator looking into the future and as we envision.
Thank you. So let me fly a little bit higher with the helicopter from the workforce into society. So Evelina, quickly, looking at it from a societal perspective, what do we need to do to prepare? Because this is transformational.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, I'm in Sweden. I hope the politicians here would take more responsibility and sort of have a clear agenda on this. But I think it's also important for everyone to sort of stop talking about tomorrow's AI doomsday when AI actually poses a lot of risks today. And I think, I mean, when we sort of get stuck on talking about the doomsday, we draw attention from like the real issues and the societal harms that are happening right now. And I think one of the biggest concerns surrounding the latest like breed of AI or generative AI is potential boost of misinformation and phishing. And I think that's super scary. And then we have an upcoming election. So I don't think we are prepared for the sort of increased threat of misinformation, bots, and other risks. But I mean, on the positive side, what I think is really good about ChatGPT is the sort of mass awareness that it has led to. And I think we have a debate right now, which is much more inclusive, because generally, I think the problem is that the public at the moment does not have sufficient information to sort of have an informed view of what AI is and what it can, how it can impact your life. And it's important to sort of have this conversation on a broader level. What I also think is problematic is that the development to a large extent is happening in a very small group, tech engineers in Silicon Valley, which I think could be a big democratic problem. But what was my end? Perhaps I just leave it to someone else to fill it in. I have a lot of thoughts around it.
Okay, thank you. So we are under 1 minute. So just give me 2 words each. And I'm going to start with Isha as key takeaways for how AI is redefining the workforce. 2 words. And the others get thinking. Put you on the spot, Isha. Sorry about that.
Keep learning.
Asaf.
I will give you 3. It's
okay.
New, unique, and innovative. That's my take on it.
Evelina.
Get informed.
Perfect. So perfect segue to thank everybody for being here. We'll pick up on any questions that you put in the chat, and I think we all got a lot of insights on the goods, the maybes, the things to be informed about, and move from being scared perhaps to get informed and get ready for the future. But the future is now. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you too. And please remain with us. We do have some questions from the chat. And Carolina, if you want, you can check them out on your WhatsApp. We forwarded it to you, so you can actually take it on.
Okay.
Otherwise, I
Just
will do
one
that.
thing, I don't have my phone with me because I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't vibrate or do anything. So if you can read them for me, that would be perfect.
So I will. Now I need to get my glasses first. Hold on. This is how we remain. This is how we always remain very authentic. Okay, so to Isha, do you include the structures of language and thereby differences?
Do you have more context on the question?
As it came from the chat, I do not have, but the person who asked the question may put some more content in the chat and we will go to the next one. Could you please comment on organizational readiness and transformation to become AI enabled? This is probably to all of you and actually even yourself, Katrina. Who wants to take on that?
Yeah, maybe I'll jump in and take that. I think that first, I think it's a good question because a lot of companies are rushing into adopting those models and technologies without looking back and realizing if they even have the infrastructure and the capabilities to actually support it on scale. I mean, so I think it's crucial for companies to make sure that they're ready for, let's say, the first phase of adopting or implementing, integrating AI with their processes. But at the same time, those companies need to be ready for the trade-offs, right? Because by adopting AI and more heavily on AI, they would need to, develop or strengthen their technological abilities, the data science, etc. Whereas maybe other tasks or other job titles or positions might become obsolete in a way, and they would have to replace those. So I think it's a crucial thing to keep in mind, both in the employee approach, but also in the tech and infrastructure approach.
Indeed, indeed.
Maybe I can complement with what we're doing from a corporate perspective from Nestle. The three things. First one is to define a responsible AI. So what is our we have a very clear value, so we have a value-driven ethical approach to AI that guides what kind of partners we engage with, what are the use cases we use AI for, what are the use cases we don't use AI for. Second one is on really distinguishing the liabilities and integration of data, because some AI use cases require data from us, others don't. If people are using tools like ChatGPT for general purpose questions or to summarize the text, you don't really need data integration. The third one is then to engage with our workforce to really upskill them and get them ready to get the most out of AI and use it responsibly according to the value and ethical guidelines. We, of course, has governance, ethical committees, and everything that it really enforces that.
Indeed. Thanks a lot. I will share later on with you. We have like one slide where Swiss Cognitive summarize what it needs from our perspective to be AI enabled. So we will be happy to share that later through the chat or on LinkedIn. So with that, time is running. We still have other questions, so perhaps you guys can check out the chat and answer those questions in the chat. I think that would be awesome. So saying that, time is just flying. Thanks a lot for being with us all together, sharing your vast experience and having such insightful discussions. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, now, dear audience around the world, you have also realized how fast time flies. For me on this stage, it feels like it goes at least double of the normal speed. If I would have actually double time of a day, that would be awesome. So to ensure that I stay on the top of the planned agenda, let me invite to our next stage our expert and great friend on stage, whom I have the privilege to lead an interview with. with the legendary Behshad Behzadi, one of the greatest minds when it comes to innovation and technology. Hi, Behshad, a warm welcome on this stage and sharing your vast experience with our network that is actually over 500,000 in over 100 countries. Let me introduce you first to our audience. There are certainly some curious minds out there watching and listening to this and eagerly awaiting your perspective on the world of AI. Behshad, you are the Vice President of Engineering at Google. You stand at the forefront of technological innovation. You are the driving force behind the Google Assistant, an embodiment of the company's commitment to making intersectional natural and conversational. With a team of over 100 engineers, you worked tirelessly to reshape our intersections with the digital realm. Since joining Google in Zurich, so next door, in 2006, you have been instrumental in various phases of search, from Google ranking to conversational search. Your academic powers is equally commendable, having graduated from École Polytechnique and subsequently earning a PhD in bioinformatics. Your postdoc stint at the Max Planck Institute showcased your deep dive into algorithmic comparative genomics. Behshad, you have been on quite a journey up to now, and there is so much more to come. Let's keep the ball moving and dive into our topic of redefining the boundaries of possibilities with AI. So, as my first question, let me deep dive directly into our title. How do you redefine the boundaries of the possibilities of AI?
Thank you. Hi, Dalit. Very good to see you. And hi, everyone. The reality is that in the past few months, we have all seen that generative AI has changed the whole realm of what's possible with AI. And in many different ways, on one hand, really interactions between machines and humans, conversational AI has really reached a level where you can somehow claim that, the human, human conversation problem is solved. On the other hand, we have the power of generative aspects of these models, which they can write articles, they can generate images, they can generate videos, and things which was really not possible to be done before. And these together, are really making, unlocking, new possibilities, which are really we were not thinking about them before.
What I would like to emphasize a little bit more into it. I mean, today, if we look at the LLMs, we literally have a total transversal access. I mean, everything, no matter whether it comes from physics, from chemistry, from geographic, from history, from wherever, everything that has a digital imprint actually is accessible. So we have a lot of knowledge. So I would like to stay a little bit more on this boundaries, because I literally can't see a lot of boundaries now if I'm thinking of how we can combine everything out there that has a digital imprint, cross industry, cross subject, and create new things.
No, I think the boundaries is really, aspects of that is that when it comes to the real product application, you have to be careful about many aspects here, right? So we all have been hearing, for example, about hallucination. So it is true that these models, yes, they know physics, they know chemistry, they know, history, but they also are pretty good in, writing things which is not totally accurate. That's why at Google, we actually have been trying to, focus a lot on attacking the part of the problem which is needed to be solved for the actual in production use. Hey, is this grounded? What is being answered? Why is this answer is being given? Generative AI makes it very easy and possible to generate things quickly. To build a new experience in a very short time. And but you also want to you want to make sure that this thing is grounded. This thing is not doing something which is not compliant and so on. So lots of the work really goes around that. And the reality is that is actually something which bounds in some sense, I would say, and limits the the possibility. But what is true is that we are seeing that in the past few months, and I'm seeing that firsthand, of course, inside Google, things are improving really, week by week and month by month, really, and things which already we were doing 3-4 months ago feels already old, and because there's nearly the significant accelerated pace into the quality iteration and what's possible.
So how do you see, how can people actually keep on paced on what's going on out there? And also, how can we make sure, I mean, you said, it's about this algorithm, the questions, the prompts. We also need to learn how to actually do all these prompts. We had some discussions earlier today about that. And I think the skills that we will need, and especially what the kids will learn in school, will need to be adjusted more and more. So where do you see here actually the combination between what we need to learn about how to prompt and actually to make sure that we're getting the right answers, and not only based on speed, that, I'm giving in a prompt, I'm getting an immediate answer, that we need to learn how to work with it.
Yeah, I think personally, I actually do believe that prompt engineering right now has bigger significance and value than what it might have in the future. So I personally don't believe that the future is us and everyone trying to learn, let's say, engineering prompts. Today, people need to learn more of prompt engineering because prompt understanding is not perfect. It should not be that if you press enter a new line or a structure, this works, but if you don't write it, if you write it a little bit different, it breaks. Today, we're seeing prompts that you write something and then you add something more, and then that previous prompt breaks. How we're seeing things is improving. It's pretty likely that over time, nearly no matter how you write those, even if you're not expert, but as long as you actually write the intent that you have for that question or that problem to be solved, those things should be working. In terms of how to be, keep up to date with the pace of what's happening, that's hard. Even at Google, I guess we're not, several of us has to really, we send to each other really all, every day or every few days, some new things that we were not aware of, and whether it's internal or external developments. So I do think that trying, there's many. Whether it's individuals or companies that want to do things, but I think it's trying on your own and experimenting with these things is a good step to actually get a feeling about it. The barrier to actually do something here is much lower than what it was a couple of years back. A couple of years back, if you wanted to do AI, you needed a group of engineers, AI experts. Today, you can build AI-based applications in minutes. So I think starting to have a feeling of that is a good thing, But the problem of the overall amount of development which is happening, I think it's really lots of developments happening these days. It's hard to keep pace of it, of course.
So what would you suggest to people who are not into it on a daily life? Where should they start? With what should they start? Because I think this is a very important message and something that we always also say. We learn by trying. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice.
We can fix that with AI. AI can replicate
exactly.
voice.
Next time, I'm going to send my avatar.
Exactly. So I think always I would say that you can of course Google it. You can Google where to start and find lots of good results. I'm pretty sure about that. At Google, we actually are having our AI platform is called Vertex AI. And with lots of educational courses about different pieces of that, we have the models themselves. That is it's possible to directly use the models. We have something which is about conversations, about search, and about different types of AI solutions. All of that as subparts of Vertex AI. Last week, as part of Google Next, we also shared several of the new developments there, plus several new educational materials which is available. So that's of course one resource, but I am sure that several organization and companies there, they are actually super actively publishing different types of courses. So I would just say that Google it and you will find certainly certainly interesting educational results and how-tos on how to start. So it's these days these materials are pretty frequently available.
Thanks. I would like to remain a little bit around our title, where do we see the boundaries? And for me, obviously, being in this topic, I see a huge benefit for the human being, that actually we can delegate a lot of things. We start our even creative work on a much higher level because we're getting information out of the systems. As I mentioned before, everything that has a digital imprint is accessible, will be more and more accessible. So let's talk about, where do you see strong boundaries? Where do you see that we shouldn't give it over to the technology and remain in pure human hands?
Yeah, I think there are, depending on, of course, on the different industries and different use cases, there are parts that you do want to, to automate and you want to, automatically generate. But pretty much in every industry or on every mission, every, job, there are aspects which is much more of a today's, at least, human nuances. Again, it's hard for me to predict what will happen in 10 years, 20 years from now. But, think about, where you're, even in a case like call centers, which feels like a reasonably easily automated. Sometimes people really want to explain their problems to a human and really, try to be able to get that feelings of, making sure that everything, is 100% that human feeling is there. Think about, we talk about, chatbots, which could be, giving medical, medical, advice. And do you want to, for important medical decisions to be, fully and pure and solely, count on that? So I think in my opinion, lots of the work which is happening with AI is actually an opportunity is really about, empowering humans to be able to do more.
Exactly.
So not necessarily replacing them. And so in some sense, I feel that, humans of the future compared to today's human are superhumans because they actually have this, superpower with them. It's the same that if today we compare, with a cell phone, which can do all, like, or the video chat.
Or the washing machine.
Washing machine, exactly. This video chat that you and I are doing, it was not possible. Right now I'm in Munich. It was just not possible, years back, right? So I think and these things, it's giving us a superpower, and of course it makes us to be, still, have our human connections, but
I would actually like to remain on this human connection, because now we're getting towards a subject that I wanted to come at the end. We're empowering the human. We're getting a lot of new possibilities. We're freeing up time. So one thing that for me is really critical, and I would like to hear your view on that. If we're talking about redundancy of human workforce, for me that's wrong. For me, it's like really freeing up time. So on one hand, we may work less than the hours that we used to work. On the other hand, it's also the pressure from the stakeholder perspective. And for me, it's about, hey, if we're freeing up time and people can do more what they love to do, and they have more time for the clients, for the team, for the employee, for the employers, this is where we need to build up. I think this is where the core of the humanity is. But there is a huge gap about the perception of the stakeholders and obviously the companies. What is your view on that?
No, I 100% agreed. And I think this is the thing which keeps me the most excited here. We're freeing time so that you actually can focus on things which matter more. I have to say, beyond freeing time, AI, and I'm not just talking about generative AI in this case, it's saving lives, right? So whether it's, through the, the helping of those, let's say breast cancer screening to happen a year earlier, whether it's about predicting the flood is going to come to a particular area, a week later, a week earlier, so that you can save lives. So it's about, of course, about saving us time to do more things, and and have hopefully more fulfilled human connections and do things which really matters more to us. But it's also actually making us to live better, making us saving lives. So all in all, I think it's super exciting era to be in.
Thanks. I would like to share a question that came in by chat. Sorry, I have to get my glasses again. With OpenAI, the hallucinations were cut in half from ChatGPT 4 compared to 3.5. What percentage of responses from Google Bard would be hallucinations?
Yes, I think there is always, when you want to when you want to combine numbers, you have to look into the data sets. You need to things, you need to define sets and golden sets of queries. So whatever number I give at this point, it will not be necessarily accurate. However, I think one of the advantages that we do believe, that BART or solutions in general from Google and the cloud AI have is actually exactly about accuracy, factuality, and the really minimizing the hallucination there. As you know, BART is fresh, so it will not have it is not necessarily trained just on historical data from a year or two ago, so it can actually answer things which happened a couple of days back, a day ago, and so on. At the same time, we have just announced last week in Google Next and our big cloud event, grounding, which basically means that for every answer which is given, you try to indicate, the sources of where this exactly is coming, and you actually check whether there is a contradiction between the answer that this thing is giving plus what we're seeing from those sources. So as always, as we have been doing at Google for the past 25 years, quality and accuracy of the result really matters. And it's and I think, to my first point, as part of boundaries, to me that is actually a boundary here. So for many use cases, if you cannot fix accuracy and continue to have hallucination, there is always risks for deploying this solution. So that's top of mind for us on the grounding side. I think the last thing I would say here is we also have components on our side that we have been adding. We call them Vertex Conversations playbooks, if you search for it, which basically enforces large language model to follow a particular flow and so that it doesn't go out of. So it kind of puts something which is more powerful than the LLM itself, so that if LLM decides to do something which is not exactly
Well, it seems that we just lost connectivity. And those who know me already for quite a while know that I actually like these kind of accidents, because it just shows us that we are relying on basic infrastructure, talking about LLM, talking about AI. At the end of the day, if we don't have connectivity, if we don't have electricity, we're just off. So anyway, a huge thanks to Behshad. I will chat him later. He is definitely one of our great minds. Are you back?
I'm back, sorry. Yes.
Don't worry. I just mentioned that I actually like these incidents because it just shows us how much we rely on electricity, on connectivity, and so on and so forth. So thanks a lot for sharing all this with us, Behshad. And I feel privileged that Andy and I have, from time to time to discuss with you and listen to you and learn a lot. And I really hope that we will be able to welcoming you on our stage again, because I think our audience would love to hear much more. So good luck with all the next steps, and have a great stay in Munich, and hope to see you soon here in Zurich.
Thank you very much. Was very happy to be here.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye.
Now, dear audience, I'm losing my voice. So I just would like to share with you one of the slides that we are working with at Swiss Cognitive. Someone asked about what do you need to be AI enabled? And this is, in a nutshell, we need the AI talents where we're not talking about developers. It's not about bits and bytes. It's about people who are empowered and see the advantage and the power of the technology. It's the access to data. It's an AI technology stack, obviously an AI program which needs to have budget allocated. And one of the most important things are the leaders. When whoever wants to know more about that, we will be happy to share. So now, my dear AI friends, we are slowly reaching the end of the conference. So before we summarize what we've heard, I would actually like, as long as my voice is giving me the chance to talk, I would like to share with you a video. And this is about, let me just check quickly. Voila. I always emphasize the importance of human factor when it comes to our technology. With that thought in mind, I'd like to make you aware of a video that has been circulated on the social media. Hold on. Is the video working already?
Dad,
that's the top.
But I can hear it.
I mean the sides.
Squirt some on another piece of bread.
Sorry.
Take the butter knife, rub it all over the top.
Technical issues. Okay, so let me start again. So with that thought in mind, I'd like to make you aware of a video that has been circulated on social media for 6 years now. The video is from Josh Darnett, where he asked his 2 lovely children to write a description on how to spread peanut butter on a piece of bread. The video is hilarious, yet it demonstrates a very important point. Human skills are fundamental. So with a great regards from Josh, please look at the video. We shortened it to 20 seconds.
Get 2 pieces of bread. Get some peanut in the peanut butter. Take the butter knife out of the peanut butter.
You did it wrong. No.
Take 1 piece of bread and take the butter knife that has the peanut butter on it and spread it all over the top of the piece of bread.
Dad,
that's the top.
I mean the sides.
Squirt some on another piece of bread. Take the butter knife, rub it all over the top of the piece of bread.
I quit. You're not making any sense. Sorry, you ruined it on purpose. He knows how to make one. I know, Evan. It's the joke. It's the game that we're playing. Oh.
Do you know how to eat a piece of bread?
Okay, I think this video shows quite a lot, and probably most of you know this video. For emerging technology to advance to our best advantage, we need to learn how to use them. It does not mean that we all need to become experts, but we need to be able to work with these new technologies. That is when we will be able to redefine the boundaries of creativity and possibilities. Historically, creativity has been a unique human trait untouched by machine. Times are changing. Let's embrace this evolution and turn it into the advantage of our business and society worldwide. So with that, let me get into our summary for those who weren't able to be with us from the beginning. Let me So first of all, let me thank to all our distinguished panelists and speakers who actually gave us great insights to their fields. And I think, again, we were able to learn a lot. And this is what Swiss Cognitive is all about, the share for success. It's truly an amazing ecosystem that brings incredible minds together. And now I'm lost. Dear audience, I'm really sorry, but somehow my WhatsApp didn't work. Let me go back because my team sent me the Yep. Here we go. Give me another try. So we stand at the cusp of a new era where the future of AI is not just intelligence, but generative. From the bustling tech hubs in the Netherlands to the markets of Europe, business are already harnessing the power of generative AI. But the key to unlocking its full potential lies in having a well-defined roadmap rooted in responsible AI-guided principle. Generative AI is not just a trend, it is revolution that's reshaping operations across industries. The urgency of adoption, AI isn't merely about staying ahead, it's about staying in the game as competitors leap forward and the costs of inactions grows. From the factory floors to the C-suite, generative AI is streamlining operations and transforming business models, demanding that we re-evaluate and adapt our strategies at a rapidly evolution landscape. We are at the pivotal moment where the frontiers of AI, innovation, and impact are converging, not just to create wealth, but to solve urgent challenges like climate changes, sustainability, and health issues. In this new paradigm, financial returns and positive impact are not mutually exclusive. They intersect, offering unprecedented opportunities for investors. We stand at a unique crossroad where we must strike a balance between caution and innovation in sectors like healthcare, always keeping a vigilant eye on metric and effectiveness while we navigate regulatory hurdles that are playing catch-up. The key to unlock AI's full potential lies in asking the right question, spotting the wrong answers, and building upper proprietary data. Using AI, we can not only stay ahead in prediction technology shifts across sectors, but also master the art of timing these changes to drive unparalleled innovation in our business. Generative AI is already transforming our workforce, how we interact, perform, and achieve today. It refines video performance, elevates our writing and speech, and liberates humans to focus on what we excel at, all while grounding us in the timeless principle that the core of any successful venture is fulfilling a true human need. So by the end of this, next time I might send my avatar, who is not going to lose the voice, but probably will be too perfect. So saying that, thanks a lot for being with us, and see you soon again.